Jumping Jeremy Howe is coming into the lineup for his first game. Good to see him. And we'll have a look at the lineup now, courtesy of KFC. As I said, 4 changes. Goldsack, Jeremy Howe, Matthew Goodyear is in for his first game as well, and Maynard. So McCapper, Frost, Galt and Ramsey, sadly, out with a knee are the changes there for Collingwood, who snuck over Richmond. As I said, big day for the Saints. There's 2 of the stars. Well, Barry Breen, Mr. Point, and Cowboy Neal, who was sensational, kicked 5 goals, 6 in that grand final and was an absolute star, gave absolutely everything for the Saints. And I'll tell you one thing for sure, these gentlemen are going to have a big, big day. They have a celebration night tonight, and I think that too will go into the wee small hours of the morning, because with just the one flag, well, you've got a lot of celebrating to do. And if these youngsters can walk past those 2 champions with that Premiership Cup, surely they should be inspired. Nick Riewoldt, of course, leading the way with 301 games, and let's hope that they can really throw down the challenge to Collingwood this afternoon. We'll have a look at the St Kilda lineup. Only the one change. Minchington comes in and at the expense of Gresham. Incidentally, the Saints' average age for this game at the moment is 25.5, compared that to Collingwood, who is the equal youngest this round of 23.9. So quite a disparity as far as age and experience is concerned between the 2 sides. And just repeating that good news about Nathan Freeman in a moment, but firstly a reminder, you can watch Fox Sports anytime, anywhere on your device with Foxtel Go, including every AFL match of every round live. And best of all, it's included in part of your Foxtel subscription. Foxtel Go, you can download it right now. Nathan Freeman, the young Saint, playing in the Development League. I'll just give you his stats. In the first quarter today, he had 15 disposals. In the second quarter, he had 13 and a goal. In the third quarter, he had 18. 46 disposals in his first game back for over a year. We look forward to his return. Bit of biffo going on there at the moment with Weller. He's prancing around the young Saint. Umpire's trying to chase him and settle him down. So here we go. Looks like a pretty good crowd. It's Collingwood and St Kilda at the MCG.
In the rearview mirror, Saturday afternoon football. Hickey versus Grundy. In the middle of the ground is underway. Hickey, terrific in the first round. Little flat last weekend. Crisp, terrific out of the middle. An early chance in the end. Cloak couldn't quite savage. Nunes, Geary taken hard. Here's a chance for De Goey. Bouncing ball. Cloak got involved. Here's a chance for Langdon. Normally a defender. He kicks the first of the afternoon. Well, a perfect start. So much energy around the St Kilda Football Club. They kicked the last goal of last Friday night. They get the first on Saturday afternoon.
Great start in there from Jeremy Howe as well. First game for the club. Come over from Melbourne, a club that he idolised as a kid. Had Nathan Buckley's signature in his pocket. So great start there for Jeremy Howe to not just do the flair things that we know he can do, but get in, create a hard tackle and create that goal.
You're going straight back, guys.
Could be a bit of a competition this afternoon. Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe in the same forward line.
Cirque du Soleil. They got a goal, the Pies, with 4 seconds remaining last weekend. 21 seconds to open their account on a Saturday afternoon. Howe and Cloak involved in that ball moving forward. So for the first time, Nathan Buckley has his 3 big off-season recruits all out on the ground together. Adam Treloar, Taylor, make that James Ashen, Jeremy Howe for the first time. Taylor Adams taken to ground by Hickey.
Holding the man, Collingwood.
So the Pies again.
Play on.
Hands on the footy, wide to Sinclair. Langdon kicked the first, wants the ball. Might get it again by hand. Sinclair ignores him. Well done, Nunes involved. Seb Ross, nothing really. Up the ground, saw that, retreated back inside. Now Nunes running to the sunshine. Man with a big future, we hope. Carton, manhandled by Reid. Help comes from Brown.
That was a great smother at half-back too, because they're away again, the Pies. Alan Richardson said pre-game that they needed to get their hands on the ball. The early indications are that Collingwood are winning the contested possession. They need to balance that, the Saints.
Grundy, last week's hero, crisp. Armitage just waited for Langdon to get hold of the footy. Then as soon as he did, tackle was on.
Collingwood, Tom Langdon. I'm through.
They came up against the ballistic Bulldogs last week, the Saints. They could not get their hands on the ball. They play a different brand of football, the Bulldogs. They dragged them to all parts of Etihad Stadium, and they were just never able to set themselves properly. So they need to get their hands on the ball and control it.
For Solo, another of last week's heroes for Collingwood. Geary's gone to him. He'll be looking to shut him down early, I think.
Move it on.
So Pendlebury roamed halfback
Whoa.
last Friday night.
That's a great speculative kick there.
Adams, terrific, wider ball. Oxley had a runner, and that was Marley Williams. He was ignored. Over the top to Goey, gets into space. Still a kick and a half from home. Gilbert shuts him down quickly. Ball moved on. Goldsack, one of the 4 ins for the Pies.
Play on.
As a runner, Oxley runs into trouble, gets out of trouble. Still a chance from a long way out. Well, a little bit of a shepherd. It'll do the trick. Oxley gets the Pies second.
What about that bit of play there by Pendlebury, though, to actually chance his arm that way? Like, if you're prepared to have the courage to hit that kick, it just opens up the whole field, Busher. Once you could be hemmed in on one side of the ground, you take that kick. Adams made the most of it, but it opened up the whole field and gave them some attacking space.
You see the build-up here going inside 50, caught up by Pendlebury, as you said, off half-back. Fantastic kick just to set that play. The courage that took, something from the captain needed to get him underway.
Grundy won that ball. Gilbert read it well. The goal kicker Oxley to Adams and Pendlebury, all involved in that build-up from half-back. The Pendlebury kick was speculative, as Tim Watson alluded to. Set the Pies away. Montagna at half-back, works it to Ross, now to Savage. Montagna on the end of a series of handballs to Revolt. He's been warming up for a long time. The 4 games today, he was out 70 minutes before the bounce. Minchington, low ball, replacing Gresham this week. Reed at halfback, almost delivered to him. The ball, tough on the outer side. Oxley did a good job. So Grundy thinks about Treloar. Now a high ball. The Flyers, well, Cloak didn't really leap at the ball. Fisher alongside of him. Back to Montagna by hand, wider to Robertson.
Yours now.
Low ball. Well, Revolt. Hot on his hammer was Marley Williams. Treloar. Pendlebury ignored to Crisp. He'll want his left boot within range. Been a pretty audacious start from the Pies. Look slick and confident right now.
Yeah, we're seeing Pendlebury get involved in the play a lot already. Weller's gone to him. We know Pendlebury's had sore ribs, so Weller's going past him every time he can and hitting him.
Well, Weller's playing almost like a defensive forward at the moment.
And it's no good just hitting him. He's got to get in and stop his run that he's provided so far.
Bruce out the back. Revolt just caught behind Oxley. Marley Williams. Ball ricocheted about the place. Gilbert to Weller. Again, a couple of one-on-ones inside 50. The youngster McCartan is chosen almost to Loney by hand. Takes on the responsibility, then dishes it off. Here's a chance. Jack Stephen, till then 30. He's a good finisher. Saints are on the board. They're away.
He's a good runner too, Jack Stephen. He came off half-back then. He could have been a handball target, but they ignored him then, the Saints, when they went forward as a long kick. The right kick too to Paddy McCartan. And the youngster realising that he was on quite an acute angle then, just squaring the ball up enough there for Stephen, who really last year I thought that he came into the elite class of midfielders in the competition. And you need to curb his brilliance if you are going to stop the Saints from moving the ball.
See McCartan here getting the mark, but Stevens kicks the goal. Last year, Trevor Barker, medalist, he's continued his great form, his speed in around the stoppages and been able to find that open space to finish.
So Stephen gets his second goal of the year. He got one against Port in round 1. Scoreless last weekend, but he's been prolific getting the football, averaging 32.5 in the first fortnight of the season. Ross worked it onto his wrong side and did well. Got into the hands of the skipper. Here's a chance. Billings. Penetrating ball inside 50. McCartan and Bruce just collided at the wrong moment. Maynard and Reed do enough. Now to Brown. Out of trouble, the Pies, but it's going to come back. Robertson all on his lonesome. Inside to Ross.
Do take it,
Now
Sam.
cross half-back, Dempster.
Line still.
Fisher, they've combined over the years together.
Yours.
Fisher now finds Montagna. Cloaked a long way from home.
Play on.
Well, Montagna just darts back inside and then risks the ball through the middle. Well done, Dunstan. Got Savage running through the circle. So Savage now, again, a long ball inside 50. McCartan, Brown just knocked the ball away. Almost a chance for Weller. Got the ball, but as soon as he did, taken to the ground. Well done. Maynard, the tackler.
Thanks, mate.
He's got some power in his kicking, hasn't he, Savage? Became
Really
one of the better running defenders in the competition last year.
Grundy. Hold.
Clearance is 4-1 Collingwood's way, so at this early stage, they're just beating the Saints around the ball.
Langdon to Sinclair.
Still, mate.
Quickly over the top to Maynard, who put the tackle on. Stopped Weller moments ago.
50 metres.
Against Hickey, then just encroaching that space.
The protected area, Tom.
As we saw in that play prior for St Kilda, they're looking to
Come
play
back
on
here.
every chance they get. They're leading the competition at the
Mark's
moment in
here.
terms of percentage mark
Come back
play
on.
on
Nah.
at 45.5%. Huge numbers.
Play on.
So
Yours.
Maynard, Greenwood, who's at home for Solo, flew to go. He just rode the ball well. Left boot. Has he brought it around enough? Not quite, but for Solo, full of confidence following last Friday night's 6 goals.
I'd like to have another look at that, Hamilton, because it looked like he didn't really even go for the mark in the end for Sol. It was like he just palmed the ball down here. Just watch. I reckon he did that. He just knocked the ball down there to the go. He's a thinking player for Sol.
And Nathan Buckley alluded in the press conference last week after his best on-ground performance how he'd matured as an individual as well as a player.
That was a real compliment, wasn't it? Late in the game, Richmond are putting their best defender, Rance, on him to try and curb his brilliance.
Hold the mark, Jordan.
St Kilda are setting up nicely on the outer side here to try and get some run and switch again.
So Geary's got a little bit of time to think about the ball coming towards him and then time to get into the hands of Gilbert. Here's a chance for Loney. Maynard will try and close, but Webster on the run. A couple of long ball options. McCartan's got to be quick. He's got to go to Bruce. He took too long. And Chris, who's been so brilliant for the Pies, works it back into the middle.
Well, so that's just adjusting, isn't it, to schoolboy type pressure as opposed to AFL pressure. He'll learn, the kid. They've got a good turnover here, though, the Saints.
Well, Goodyear, his first kick, works it into the hands of the opposition, and now Bruce can have a look at the Saints' second and bridge the gap to 2 points.
Just shows how sharp you've got to be, how quick one team can turn it over. Here we see an intercept mark here, repelled straight back into your forward 50.
15 goals.
Schoolboy footy,
Come out
young
for
guys
me.
experience.
Yep.
You need to be able to switch on quickly.
So Bruce,
1 metre. Yeah, I got it.
after spending a couple of years at the Giants, has really reinvigorated this St Kilda forward line, and if he continues to produce that, they'll love him for a long time. Saints have a couple.
Well, getting Nick Riewoldt up the ground a lot's really given this guy the opportunity to really start putting his stamp on that forward line. You look at who's still to come in for the Saints. They have Lee Longer, really a ruckman. There's a couple of guys there now. They're starting to get up to create a strong forward line. They've got great speed in around their feet, but this is a guy that really needs to start putting his stamp on it with Riewoldt getting up the ground a lot more.
That's a beautiful kicking action there from Bruce. Outside 50, sailed through with ease.
And Tim, you talk about reliable.
Block, Collingwood. Travis, bring it round.
There you go, Travis.
Come back on.
That'll make him quickly change his mind about going into the
Dangerous occupation. Riewoldt went back with a flight, just got impeded. Well, chance here for the Saints. Blair, terrific. Cloak on the run, doesn't have time to think about this.
All clear.
Just going back to Josh Bruce. 42-15 from set shots last year from an overall annual haul of 50 goals.
He's got a lovely kicking action. There's not a lot wrong about it.
The Saints at halfback, not clear yet. Riewoldt now. Time to deliver to a man with a bit of time about the place. One of the 5 jacks. This one, Sinclair, just arches his back over the top. It's a beautiful ball. McCartan in the sun, won't have a problem. He'll kick the first of his year. Saints in front.
That's great ball movement.
Yeah, great spread.
One end to the ground to the other. Revolt doing his job, as you mentioned before. Just being that conduit type player that can drift up the field, take a mark, and he's an intelligent ball user too.
And when you've got so many younger guys in around your midfield, just have Revolt getting in those spots, providing an option in there why the young guys still learn around him to be able to transition that ball from back line so easily.
It's time out, late fellas.
Fantastic chain by foot there by St Kilda. They're using the ball 92% efficiency. Pies, on the other hand, at 68%. They're really hurting themselves going forward with turnovers, Pies.
So well done to Paddy McCartan, just his 8th game, his 4th goal, 1st of the season. And with it, the Saints, they get back in front. 3 points the leaders. Dunstan this time applies the pressure on Maynard.
I think the move will be when Cloak goes into the ruck, Bruce will then go into the ruck and ruck against him. Both sides have really only got the one recognised ruckman in their team. And they won't want to put their backup ruckman against the number 1 ruckman too often.
Cloak this time beats Bruce doing the ruck work. Langdon, well done. Greenwood, Adams, over the top it goes for Solo. Nice little move initially. Maynard, Treloar, wider still to Cloak. Well, terrific stuff in the end. Well done from Armitage. Looping handball over the top. Nunes. Now to Montagna. Neat stuff from St Kilda. Sinclair. He found McCartan with his last ball. Now to the skipper. The skipper, well, Chris was, well, make it. Williams was terrific. Went back with the flight. Read it well. Revolt was impeded. Sinclair now underneath the pack. Revolt pleading for holding the ball, but Williams, well, his hand in the end was instrumental.
Really good courage there, going back with the flight of the ball for a smaller player going in front of Revolt. Fantastic courage.
Revolt this time, over the top, Greenwood. Taylor Adams, Jack Sinclair trying to hold him up. Somehow they managed to get it out. First man there will be Savage, bouncing ball, controlled, little give. Pretty good to Dempster. He's got to deal with De Goey. The tackle was great still. Robertson on the end of the loose ball. Savage now retreats. Montagna normally finds his man. Looks, well, almost to Bruce. Just a little bit too hot in the end. Bulleting ball from Reid. Langdon got caught behind Bruce. Got hold of the football. Lost it. Doubles back. He and Greenwood keep the ball in. Greenwood somehow finds Brown. Back it goes. Blair and Reid. And Reid to the outer side. In the back.
Just further to the point that Sully made before about the disposal efficiency, and it's the Saints' pressure at the moment. They're applying a lot of pressure every time Collingwood player has the ball. They're forcing them into error. And that's what they were great at last year. They were the swarming Saints. They made it really difficult for you to move the ball against them because of that pressure, and we saw it in their forward line then.
We also saw it round 1 as well against Port Adelaide. The pressure, they started off, it's obviously a big emphasis.
Again, pressure error.
Tom, 2 metres, Tom, here, please.
So it was Armitage who applied the pressure to Maynard. And Ross to the 301 gamer, to the top of the square. McCartan trying to work his way back in front. But Reid does enough, and James Aish floats back, full back now.
Play on, you.
Second game as a Pyre. Struggled with the Lions last year. He'll be given a lot more opportunity at Collingwood.
They're getting the chances, the Saints. 8 of the last 10 inside 50, so they're getting their chances in there. They've just got to capitalise a bit more, because as we can see, the game can turn if they're not making the most of these inside 50s.
So again, the two forwards ruck against each other. Saints work it through. Nunes now Montagna. Again, McCartan the target. Leaping ball. Reid, fist onto it. Fell to Ross. Well, that kick is really clever. Loney now loves his left. Well, Revolt just having a chat with the youngster saying, I was on, settle down. One of those two. Played on with his natural attacking instincts. Lead out to 4.
It's just one of those opportunities, isn't it, Tim? It's not just finding the right man inside 50, it's looking for your skipper, making sure you're settling if you are going to take the shot to kick the goal.
He really didn't need to play on there, though. On his left foot.
Pendlebury to Reid. Here's a chance for the Saints. Robertson ducks back inside. The skipper on the lead. Well, he had a lot of it.
Hands in the back. Time back on.
They're causing a bit of havoc down there at the moment, aren't they?
That's
They're
good. Straight back from there, Nick.
Talls, Revolt, Bruce, and also Paddy McCartan. So, and they're getting plenty of opportunity and plenty of supply at the moment.
And they're getting so much opportunity. The game has just been played in St Kilda's half.
Well, Revolt, the J curve. Don't often see it from Nick. The Saints have got 4. Patented and licensed by Stevie Johnson, used by captains all around the league.
You can just see that, can't you? It doesn't matter what part of your career you are, you can still learn.
You can learn something, yeah. I wonder whether Stevie J's collecting some sort of a residual. If it's franchise, I wonder why it's not called Jim's kicking action. Off to a great start here, St Kilda. Particularly in their front half there, they're providing great space for each other. And got Collingwood on the ropes in the early part of this game.
So the 33-year-old gets the Saints 4th, his first of the afternoon. Kicked a couple in the opening 2 rounds. So 5 for the year now for Revolt. Bustling through Aish, got boot to ball. Well done, Ross. Played the role of goalkeeper, knew where the ball was coming. Out to the wing it goes. Quick hands. Ends up with Maynard. Normally wants his left, pushed onto his right. Gilbert. Nunes, Ross. Now leading Revolt. Out the back, Goldsack. He's again being asked to play all around the ground by Nathan Buckley. Brown. Now to Pendlebury. Lowered the eyes. Hit his target. The debutant, Matthew Goodyear. Well done to Michael and Rachel. Will and Tess, brother and sister, watching on as the big fly comes. Here's a chance. More. Son of a gun over the top to Cloak. Well, the finish is on. A settler for the Pies. Back to 4 points. Interesting there. Travis Cloak wanting to play on, get rolling. I'm not going to take this set shot. Let's just get this done.
Well, it was a 2-on-4 actually when the ball went into Collingwood's forward line, but Darcy Moore had a good run and jump at the ball, and we know that he has enormous potential. He's a high leaping type forward, and then Travis just making that space in behind him. But that's one of the most positive moves we've seen so far from Collingwood. Their first mark inside attacking 50.
Time to lead, boys.
Good strong mark there by Moore. Gets it over to Cloak, but I'm liking Cloak up the ground a bit as well. 6 disposals, got on the run there, finding the space, so that's going to get his confidence up.
Been giving Brodie Grundy some relief in the ruck. Cloak now drifts down to forward. Grundy back into the middle against Hickey. Well done, Loney. Clever over the top. Gilbert, Ross. Hurried ball to half forward. Bruce just underneath it a little. Weller stood up in the tackle. Dunstan now to Ross. Got away from Treloar. Bit of space for Nunes. Lowers the eyes again. Goes searching. Minchington. He can settle here, the youngster from Dramana. He's been sighted only briefly in a St Kilda jumper.
Level with me. Darren. One more.
We're seeing on occasions here Saints players getting in space forward of the ball. Collingwood are just ball watching, getting sucked to the contest. They need to swivel their heads and ensure they're not letting anyone get past them like they did just then.
So for Minchington, 10 games across 3 seasons coming to this year. His first game of this year. Well, just drew a little late.
The Pies are going to have to start doing some work on Seb Ross. He's got up to the 12 disposals, being one of these real link-up players for the Saints.
Well, again, this pressure, this time from Weller, just stopping the Pies. Goldsack having to retreat. Pendlebury to Williams. Now over the top to Taylor Adams. Wider ball, little fumble from Grundy.
That's it.
Fantastic pressure here by the Saints, just pushing the Pies back, keeping them in their defensive 50.
No, you're right, Sully. They looked like they might have been able to escape, but they closed down the X's really quickly. And they've forced that kick down the line.
Front spot, Aish. Savage doing the spoiling.
Collingwood. Aish. Still, mate. Hold.
Couple of the big pickups in the off-season combining. Treloar, Adams.
Play on advantage.
Bucks wanted him, got him a couple of years ago. Now Chris back inside. Pendlebury, long ball over the top to Goey. Gets away from Geary. Hickey gives a bit of support. Pendlebury taken high. Has been. That's what's been awarded. It's
a high tackle.
Gee, I'd like to see this again because he dropped to his knees then, Pendlebury.
Well played, Pendles. He's played it beautifully. Again, great pressure by the Saints, and they're fortunate to get that position there, Pendles.
One's good.
You know, there's been times this year where the umpire has seen that a player's done that deliberately to lean into a tackle, and they've just called play on.
Gone. Level with me.
Well, it was in good hands. You don't want to moz him before he kicks, but the skipper gets his side back in front.
Plenty of experience there that obviously drew that free kick, but for the Saints, it's probably not the person you want drawing the free kicks deep inside their 50. Such a punishing finisher of the ball is Scotty Pendlebury, which is why they've been using him off half-back a little bit. We know he's got those sore ribs, but his ball-using ability up the ground, but also to finish, is one of the best in the competition.
So Pendlebury gets his first major of the year. Collingwood back in front. Extraordinary consistency, Pendlebury. Best and fairest 4 times in the last 5 years. 3 in a row. Top 3 in the best and fairest 8
Holding man, St Kilda.
of the last 10 years. A model of consistency.
Play on.
Armitage, sweeping ball. Montagna. Now a couple of big men to choose. McCartan, he manhandled, says the umpire.
That was great play there by McCartan and Hammer. He actually used his body to push into Reid and drew the free kick. He forced him to actually put his arm where he did, which was too high. Just watch this again. And that was all done because McCartan actually leant into him early, picking up the read on the ball. He's got the smarts, this kid. He just needs another couple of seasons probably in the gym and working on his endurance.
8th game, he's never kicked. 2 in an AFL match. Still searching for his second this afternoon. So back to a level ball game.
There's an old-fashioned forward look about him, though, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. And like you said, he's got those little tricks. He knows if he's not in the right position, he can just give a little push out and use his body well.
Thumping ball into the middle of the ground. Hickey and Grundy both unable to get a hand onto it. Well done, Montagna. Combines with Savage. Treloar saw what was happening and took on Montagna as soon as he received the footy again.
They like that play from the kick in, the Pies. A long one down into the square.
Play on. Play on.
Grundy not getting a lot of distance, but Crisp just knocks it forward again. Blair to Goey. De Goey gets hold of the football. Now to Aish. Balanced footballer inside 50. Fisher just getting into the right spot.
Read that beautifully then. He was watching the ball, not his direct opponent there in cloak. Had his eye on the ball the whole way and was able to affect the spoil because of it. Great defensive play then by Fisher.
So Hickey, so much stronger than when he arrived at St Kilda. Weller, Geary, Dunstan. Did well, didn't rush the kick. Darted back inside. Now McCartan and Reid, shoulder to shoulder. Maynard crashing through. Bruce the tackler. Sinclair did well, just put it into McCartan's hands. A little fumble. Was he held without it? He was. Again, McCartan a free kick.
Rewald snuck out the back there again, guys. Pies just too busy watching the ball. Need to be aware of the St Kilda guys running forward.
Dunstan just drew the man. Weller, well, the kick not quite. Reid at full stretch for the Pies.
What an important inclusion he was last week too. He's such an accomplished defender and kicks the ball really well too.
Played just 5 last year and they're enjoying him. Back again.
Hold the ball, St Kilda.
So that was a free kick then to Stephen for the fend off, you would have thought.
I was holding the ball anyway, so same deal. Yep.
The non-officiating umpire came up from half-back and said the first free kick was to Jack Stephen.
Holding the ball or an illegal fend-off. Either way, Saints with hands on the football. Fisher to Geary. Webster's the man on. He's all by himself. He squeezed the kick down the line. Back inside it comes to Geary, who put it into Webster's hands. To half-back Fisher, where he's done the bulk of his work for St Kilda over the journey. Game 219.
Hold!
Battled with injury, seemingly on top of things, at least for the moment. Sam Fisher winning the battle against his body. To Jack Stephen, who rarely misses for St Kilda. Back to Weller, who's grown so much as a player since he arrived from the Saints.
Yeah, one of those guys that just...
He's a powerful unit.
Yeah, he's just really taken that opportunity in the leadership group now and really goes after the best player on each side each week.
He's a real competitor, aggressive, strong at the contest, does all the right things.
Flourishing in the new environment that he finds himself in. Montagna knows no other environment. Nor does this man. Saints for life.
Really set now, Collingwood's defence. They're just going to have to think their way through this. The Saints just try and find some gaps, spread the field again.
Oh, they've got numbers out here all over the place, boys. They'll get some clean touches.
Right in front of you, Brad Sewell, Geary, Savage. So Sinclair closes one, can't manage the other. Savage takes off. Low ball, well, absolutely brilliant. Revolt, ninth touch. Now to Nunes, low ball. Armitage thinks about going short. Well, there's a nest of Saints, and Jack Sinclair, with 90 seconds on the clock, can get them in front again with any score.
I loved what they did then, the way they shifted Collingwood's defence. Sully called it beautifully. They called the ball out wide. They had three players.
Over the top, Sinclair to another Jack, this time Loney. Saints in front.
And then they were able to work their way inside their attacking 50. And they did that with some really intelligent kicks. Savage has been a revelation, hasn't he? Like getting the ball in his hands at around the centre part of the ground because of his kicking ability, his running ability, and his disposal. That first disposal then really opened up Collingwood's defence.
Just their run and carry, the ability to play on as quickly as possible. Uncontested possessions, St Kilda is smashing them.
We see the little chip over there, just got the Collingwood defenders off guard. But as you said, they controlled that play for 3 to 4 minutes then. Moved the ball sideways, found the gap, found the opportunities. Fantastic play.
Marks inside 50, St Kilda 9, Collingwood 2.
disposal.
Montagna had time to get hold of the footy again after a brief fumble. Here's Savage again with that kick, setting things up. He's found his man again. Like Brodie Smith and Matthew Suckling, when Savage has the footy, you feel like something is going to happen by foot.
Hey, Sully, he was at Hawthorn with you. Did you realise how good he was in terms of his disposal there?
Yeah, absolutely. His run and carry can be devastating when given time and space. He's got such a penetrating leg, either long or, as we're starting to see, with experience, he's starting to lower his eyes and hit up those shorter targets.
So Sam Gilbert, 32 goals as a Saints. He's been in the wilderness a long time, but suddenly Saints back-to-back goals. They lead by 2 goals.
An entertaining first quarter of football, Woosha. 10 goals scored, a lot of end-to-end stuff. And we saw Alan Richardson pre-game. He talked about the fact that he wanted his players to get their hands on the ball to control the contested possession. And at this early stage of the game, they're winning enough of the ball to create enough damage.
They're staying in the contested possession. They're down a little bit there, but really spreading well.
Well, Saints will be buoyed by this opening term. 5-6 for the week.
Yes.
Last week against the Dogs. 6-3 with just a handful of seconds left to play in the first term. Bouncing ball, Savage, who's been outstanding in the opening 30 minutes, will get the Saints out of trouble for the final time in this term, and it's been impressive. 10 goals in the first quarter of football. Pies got the first 2, but the Saints got hold of the Pies in the last 20 minutes. Saints by 12 points at the first break. got the first 2 of the afternoon through Tommy Langdon and Oxley, and then 6 of the next 8 to the Saints, including 1 to the skipper, Nick Riewoldt. Single goal scorers all around the ground. Seb Ross, Shane Savage have been brilliant for the Saints. 6-3-39, 4-3-27. Seb Ross, he's just been drifting across half-back, picking up a lot of the football and working himself into the middle of the ground. Savage has been brilliant at springboarding the Saints from half-back in the wing. Pendlebury and Adams, the major ball getters for Collingwood. Let's go downstairs to Brad Sewell. He's alongside a former Saints great.
Harves, thanks for joining us. Disappointing finish in that quarter, given a tight start.
We started well, but we haven't been able to find them in transition. We've given them 40 uncontested marks, way too many, so we've got to close that down and limit the supply inside 50.
And Saints getting spare numbers forward of the ball at times as well?
Yeah, I mean, there were some horrendous turnovers that they got out the back on, but our biggest area is actually when we get in our front half, locking it in there, and they're getting it out far too easy.
And a couple of marks for St Kilda inside 50 as well hurt you there too.
Yeah, and that was an issue last week. It's a big job for our defenders. I mean, at the end of the day, they just got to get it done and get the ball to ground.
Thanks, Harves. All the best.
Whenever you think of Robert Harvey, you think of Saints. Today, he tries to work out a way to beat his old firm. Collingwood haven't won a lot of quarters this year, Tim. Just been told by the man in the truck the only quarter they've won so far this year was the last term of last week.
That's right. So again, they've lowered their colours in a quarter of football, but there was some great play there from St Kilda players, in particular Savage off half-back. I mean, he's become such a dynamic player in the competition. He is one of the best rebounding players. He kicks at a high percentage rate as well, and he kicks with great penetration too, so they often end in a really attacking space when he gains control.
Second term underway again. The big men fight a 0-all draw. No clear win for either side out of the middle of the ground. De Goey, who's been lively all afternoon, trying to work his way clear. Saints with the first clearance of the afternoon. And Bruce, who's deadly from a set shot, will have a crack at his second.
Reid again.
Arm round.
Just quickly here, guys. Marley Williams went down into the race at the end of that first quarter. He's doing some run-throughs here down the ground. We think it's foot, but he's looking a little bit proppy, so I'll keep you in the loop there.
They can ill afford to lose Marley. No Swan, no Sidebottom, no Varco, no Elliott. Jackson Ramsey, injured during the week at training, ACL. Brad Sewell will keep us updated on Marley Williams. Meanwhile, Bruce will try and extend this Saints lead. Has won already for the afternoon from about the same distance.
He just didn't strike that very well at all, and we saw there Reid giving away another reckless free kick. And look, he hasn't played a lot of footy over the last couple of years, so maybe Woosha, that's part of, you know, like getting himself back into the groove.
Well, costly turnover. Here's a chance. Billings looks inside, lines up the goals. Not as he would have liked.
Yeah, Timmy, as you said, I think it's going to just take his time. But to the young Saints forwards, they're big forwards. They know how to play the body. They know how to step. They know when to engage to draw a free kick if they're not in the best position to take the mark.
So Pendlebury again controlling things at halfback, this time at fullback. So Oxley, the second of the Pies goals for the afternoon to De Goey.
For solo star last week, just the one disposal in the first quarter, hasn't had too many looks.
Well, Howe set himself from behind, couldn't quite get the leap. Tackle was brilliant from Nunes. Grabbed hold of Oxley's right arm, couldn't get rid of the football. And suddenly the Saints again from the wing. Punch forward, flying from behind Bruce. Second and third grab, that'll do. Handball wide. Now Billings, long ball. It's accurate. It's got everything. Saints out to a 19-point lead.
Wow, they got him on transition again from half-back. And I tell you what, Ben Reid right now, you're a defender. You're an old defender, Woosh. He'd be thinking right now, am I supposed to play this bloke in front? I gave away a free kick the last time. I've got the front position this time, and he's come over the top and he's outmarked me.
It's the best position to be in, isn't it, as a forward line, but also as your midfielders coming in, knowing that you've got them second guessing, as we see Marley Williams there on the screen, just watching over the injury.
Hard to see. Marley Williams just goes down after contact with Sam Gilbert. You'll see in the slow-mo here. And we've just got him on the bench at the moment. He's proppy, Sully, but he's walking about the place. Keep us updated. Grundy to De Goey, ricochets to Greenwood. Hurried ball to half forward. Here's a chance for Jeremy Howe. Robertson had his arm pinned. It was a good tackle, but somehow got away with it. Nunes. He set up the last foray. Looks for Gilbert. Can't find him. Goldsack does exactly what is required.
Goldsack's probably one of those players that's come into the side to try and add a bit of experience to that defensive unit. We just saw there Jeremy Howe in his first game for the Pies still yet to touch the footy.
And a sombre Marley Williams looking on. Armitage clever. Weller. Well, 3 Pies all lined him up. Got caught in the end. Grundy.
Hang on, no, he's passing it back to his teammate. Time back on.
Saints getting back quickly in numbers just to make it difficult for Collingwood to go forward quickly. That's good transition.
At the angle.
And that's just overzealous.
So umpire McInerney.
Just wipe there, mate. Thank you. Time back on.
Explaining it all. Saints by 19. Ball hangs a long time. Well, what can't Nick Revolt do?
He's an inspirational guy to have leading your side. Started on the wing again this quarter. The 9 disposals so far at 100% efficiency. So just a man that can get up the ground, sit behind the ball, knows how to read the play. They're very lucky to have him with the Saints for so many years. What a player.
Marley's just come back on here for the Pies.
De Goey, ball just skipping away from him. Revolt again involved in this play. Revolt, you've got to remember, has already done a marathon. Yep. He arrives at the ground, gets rolling before.
I think he runs to the ground actually too, even if it's interstate.
Just remarkable how he prepares himself each week. Grundy, hurried kick. Blair, good take over the top. Saw what was happening. Crisp now to Langdon. Well, beautifully weighted ball. Langdon had a look at all that was on offer. Saw De Goey, pulled his kick, hit his man.
All right, settle down.
Really was a great kick, wasn't it? We had sitting right behind him, looked up, there was nothing but numbers in front of him. Just found the smallest gap there, as you can see here in the build-up. Everyone was one-on-one, just a little gap there. Great vision to lower the eyes and pick out the guy for the shot for goal now.
Bit of a tumbler, but it just dropped in the right spot.
You'll take those ones, wouldn't you, all the time?
It's only the Pies' 3rd mark inside 50 to date so far.
So De Goey, he's kicked a couple already this year. His first for the afternoon. The Pies 5th. So back to 13 points now at the G after the Saints got the first through Billings and started to look pretty dangerous. Gilbert got the last of the first term. The Pies, after getting off to a flyer, first goal inside the first 25 seconds. Oxley followed that up 3 minutes later. Have struggled. Cloak, Pendlebury, and now De Goey.
Revolt's up on the wing here now. He's forward before, he's down back. He's doing it everywhere at the moment.
The leaner version of Nick Revolt continues to do enormous miles. Jack Crisp. Well done, Fisher. Just floated in front of Moore in the end. Couple of Saints up against the youngster and the old veteran.
So we'll keep an eye on that because it's really Langdon and Revolt who are opposed to each other.
Well done, Armitage. To go, he tried to get a boot into it, just knock it forward, but Armitage, second effort was brilliant, held it up, strong hands, quickly to his feet. And now Savage, Montagna, Fasolo was closing, knew that, timed it well. Dunstan, Montagna, Robertson to the skipper, Cloak closes down.
On the angle.
Sinclair, Hickey, Sinclair.
Well, this won't be pleasing Nathan Buckley because Rob Harvey talked about their transition, and this is the second time this quarter that the Saints have been able to move from one end to the other.
Seemingly plenty of loose Saints inside 50. The Flyers, from where Grundy made himself a hero last week. Pies defending in this spot this afternoon. De Goey, Crisp at halfback through the middle. Chance for Moore against Fisher. The youngster against the veteran. The veteran just used his body, lost his feet. Didn't lose the battle completely though. How? Well, the bounce was unkind. Moore went back, got the footy. Montagna stopped the youngster. It gets held up, and the Pies, well, they look like they're away a couple of times. Montagna, Crisp, through traffic to goal. Well done, Jack Crisp. Untidy stuff in the end, and a few times it looked like the Pies would get clear. Desperate stuff from the Saints. The result, a Collingwood major. The last two, St Kilda now by just 7.
And Lee Montagna had a lot to say to the umpire then about how long they allowed that Collingwood player to have the ball underneath him. But you just got to keep playing to the whistle.
You see the umpire, he did let it go for a while, but I don't mind that. I don't mind if they get in, just let them play, let them fight it out. Broke free, lucky for Collingwood, got on the end of another goal there.
I think Matthew Goodyear was the man that dished out the handball, his 3rd touch of the afternoon. The debutant as the Pies get to within 7 points. Brown, Goldsack, back to Maynard, quickly around the corner, clever kick, Oxley. So a depleted Pies outfit with so many of their stars unavailable. Early lead.
Collingwood!
Howe played that pretty well. Little nudge made it look like there was something more. So Howe, 100 games with the Demons, his first touch as a Pie. Grundy for Solo, more out the back, a big leap, always looks like he's in a reasonable position more. Oxley lost his feet, didn't get rid of the football, hold on to it, then Treloar, back it goes for Solo, gets away from Nunes, Oxley involved again, this time it goes back to Fasolo, now to Howe, from 60, into the square, almost for more. Again the Saints with the numbers, quick hands, Robertson, Billings, out of trouble, into the sunshine. Stephen a fumble at a critical moment. Goldsack, pressure is on. Saints, though, somehow have weight of numbers again. Nunes over the top, skips towards the boundary. Chris kicked the last goal. Happy to see it over. In fact, too eager to see it over.
Yes, yours.
Robertson, Billings, Adams got a hand onto him, but ball to boot to Dunstan to Nunes. Webster flew by. Nunes held onto the footy. Well, not a perfect kick. It was close to it. Weller on the end of it to try and kick the Saints 8th.
Just going back to that point that Sully made about them playing on. Again, we saw that at half-back where they just forced the issue. Collingwood have been a little bit more patient in their ball movement, but St Kilda happy just to play on at all costs and allow something to eventuate and open up for them.
The kick was superb. Weller was chosen, ran into space, had to go over the head of 2 Pies. It fell into the arms of Weller. That's a beautiful kick to the city end of the MCG. Saints have got their 8th. Weller has his first.
As we said earlier, he's been a fantastic pickup for the Saints. Been able to finish goals like that when needed. One of the more experienced players. But what I'm liking about the Saints is they've got the ability to move the ball quick. But if they need to hold it up, they need to slow it down to make sure they're hitting that forward 50 entry. They're doing a Nunes kick there from across the ground was absolutely fantastic. So they are controlling the flow and momentum of the game, the Saints.
Here's that setup again, just waiting for the player to overlap. Then the diagonal kick, it's a long diagonal kick to that space. Beautiful hit. Montagna up to 14-2. He's doing some damage out there.
So a terrific finish from Maverick Weller. Saints back out to a 13-point lead. After the Billings goal to start the term, it was 19. Seb Ross, beautiful opening term. Revolt just caught underneath it. This time Reid wins the battle. Adams quickly wide. Now the one-on-one contest. Pendlebury and Armour did some quality on the outer side. Pendlebury always looks like he's got a little more time than anyone else around him. Finds Langdon.
Pies missing Varco too. He's been injured, recovering from a hamstring. Almost got up to play this week and says that he will definitely be back next week. Great play by St Kilda again defensively, just to force the turnover. That's really disappointing for Collingwood, though, not being able to move the ball again off half-back. But getting back to Varco, he was one of their most effective players last year, so they are really missing him in the early part of the season.
This time Gilbert and Bruce, the big men, asking little men to get in the right position. Bruce flying over the top. Saints win the footy. Initially, now Goldsack. Well, tough sort of a kick. Thought it was going to just be intercepted by Gilbert. Not the case. Out to Cloak on the outer side. Decides to go long to half forward. 2 pies. Howe, hands on the footy, not able to take it cleanly. Greenwood around the corner. Well, he spotted James Aish, didn't blaze away. Kick was perfect. Now Aish needs to finish.
It was a nice settling kick there. You see Jeremy Howe come up, made the contest, didn't stick, but it's going to take him a few games to get under his belt. But beautiful settle there from Greenwood to find now another shot on goal for the Magpies.
Kicked one last week in his debut game as a Collingwood player. This to make it 7 points, and he's delivered. From a very famous football family in Adelaide. If you grew up barracking for Norwood, you grew up barracking for his uncle Michael, a Magarey medalist. His father Andrew, terrific player as well. 3rd year now.
Michael almost got to Essendon one year. He stayed at my place for 2 weeks pre-season. Just decided that Melbourne wasn't necessarily for him, and he went back home again.
We see the build-up there. Jeremy, good contest, got it down to the front. That's all he needs to be doing, is just keep working his way into his first game for his new club.
2 clever kicks setting up the last 2 goals. Nunes to Weller. That time was Greenwood to Aish. Back to 7 points at the MCG. 50 years since these 2 teams debuted. Won't get competed on this ground in the grand final. Hickey on the end of a chain. Wide, Sinclair. Quickly they move it on. That's been the Saints' way this afternoon.
That's better by Collingwood, just to slow the ball there, force them down the line.
Bruce, had to be perfect to Gilbert. Goldsack saw what was happening.
Such has been the Saints' ball movement. Of their 11 marks inside 50, all have been uncontested because they're moving it so quickly from half back.
3 goals to 2 in this term in favour of Collingwood, trailed by 12 points at quarter time. Saints by 7 now. There's the debutant, Matthew Goodyear, 19-year-old from Gisborne, former Calder Cannons product, on debut. Again, well done to Michael and Rachel. They'll be pleased to see their youngster on the big stage. To Goey, Nunes, a couple of likely types doing battle. Adams somehow worked his way clear, only to give the ball up to Savage. Long wait for Bruce, 3 pies. Brown and Reid in the end do enough.
Solo's on the bench here for the Pies, as you can just see there. He hasn't had a kick, he's had 4 handballs. Marley Williams came off before too. Looked straight at their club doctor and went down the race for more attention, so things not looking good there for Marley.
Grundy had it, lost it. Loney taken high.
Go through. Stay there.
It's probably the worst part of the ground where an umpire could pay a decision against Collingwood too. The army in that pocket.
Well, Loney's low piercing kick, not quite to Gilbert. Little handball over the top, Minchington. Well, Revolt ran into Greenwood.
He's bending down, picking up the footy. Take your time. Just see.
Well, it's definitely a free kick. He's got his head down, he's going for the ball. Well, there's nothing aggressive about Greenwood, but he just made too much contact with the upper shoulder and the head of Revolt.
You all right? Okay. He's okay, so you need to move away. Just here. 15, Nick.
Big kick for the Saints. Big kick for Revolt. Big kick for this game.
Took a long time for Nick to get back up onto his feet there. We'll have a look at that in a moment, but Revolt, well, he is just an outstanding footballer. He gets another. Saints skip out to 13 points.
What a superstar he's been over the years. The level of consistency. A lot of articles written about him last week, obviously, in the lead up to the 300 game. And Grant Thomas, one of his former coaches, just talked about his preparation and his consistency. You always got the same effort every week from Nick Revolt. He gave as much as he possibly could. He's been incredibly consistent across his 301 games.
We see it here, the free to Nick Revolt. Certainly there, free kick. Greenwood did try to turn, you see, late on the side, but did get him high. Definite free kick there for Revolt.
It was just the way that Nick went down to the ground and the time it took to get up. So it'll be interesting to see what the St Kilda medicos do with Nick. Able to kick the goal, but straight off into the hands of the trainers. Sinclair at half-back. Beautiful kick over the top. Adams waits a long time, but the kick was perfect. Never in danger of Nunes running him down, and that kick equally as good to Cloak.
He needs to do now what Revolt did at the other end of the ground and go back and kick this. And I reckon these kicks for him are easier than a piddler from 15 to 35 metres. He goes back, he's more confident, he kicks through the ball. He's definitely got the distance.
Get off the fence, Tim. Is he going to kick it or not?
He'll kick it.
He's kicked it a long way. He's kicked it straight. Watson is right, and Cloak gets it back to 7 points. The longer ball, the more unlikely ball, the better Trav feels about his football.
You know that little man that gets inside your head?
He really yaps inside 30, doesn't he?
He doesn't yap inside his head when he's kicking from that distance.
He's a bigger man for some, though. That's the problem.
We saw him in that first quarter. He got the ball close and he knew, I have to play on here, because that little man was just starting to wheel his way onto the ground, and that one there, very settled, probably right in his perfect range there for Trav Cloak.
Well, this is like shelling peas for Travis Cloak at that distance.
It is.
You can kick him all day long from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Surely asked you to jump off the fence. You jumped off, backed him in. Where about the next goal-kicking coach at Collingwood?
1 goal 3 for the year coming into today. Cloak has 2-1 for the afternoon, and Nick Revolt suggests might be going downstairs for a concussion test.
He's trying to run away and you've got hands around him. Mine's good. Just here.
And this bloke has got one of the sweetest kicking actions in the game.
7 straight for the year for Solo. First kick of the afternoon. Nostradamus says he'll kick it. He kicks it. So back-to-back goals, Cloak and Fasolo, and a 19-point lead has been whipped to 1.
They're making a move now, the Pies, and just an early hold there. I mean, Geary just finding himself in that uncomfortable position behind Fasolo, the dangerous Fasolo. Let's just hope Nick Revolt's okay too, because that wasn't much of a clash that.
Five of the last 7 goals now to Collingwood. The run started with De Goey and Chris back-to-back, then Weller, then Aish, then Revolt, Cloak and Fasolo in quick time. 19 points. It was 1 now. Ross, brilliant in the first term. Treloar, brilliant in his opening 2 games as a Collingwood footballer. Cloak, ugly shot of a ball, might work out okay. Grundy, clean hand, sees the runner. De Goey, can they get 3 in a row? Almost, but exciting and lively Collingwood right now.
After the early tackle on Revolt, he did come to the bench. He spent a couple of minutes there before going down the race. So it does suggest that maybe there is some areas of concern that they need to go down underneath the race and spend a bit more time seeing if he's okay and hopefully not concussed.
Ball to be won at half-back for St Kilda. Well done, Billings. Saw Ross. What an afternoon he's having. Lowers the eyes, finds his man. So Minchington, who's a big kick of the footy, darts around the place with his eyes, and now perhaps is forced to go to the top of the square, into the pocket. Sinclair, help arrives, terrific stuff from McCartan. Contested mark, strong hands. Well done, the youngster. He's eyeing off his second.
That's great courage too, and I mean that's one of the real signs why he was taken #1 in the draft, Paddy McCartan. Look at this, just eyes on the ball all the way. I mean, Nick Riewoldt has a trademark on marks like that. That is just great courage going back with the fly of the ball, the oncoming traffic.
It was a genuine pack mark, wasn't it? No fly, it was just a genuine flying back pack mark there.
He plays each week with a weight of expectation given where he was taken in the draft.
It's amazing how many players do not kick through the ball from those short distances. That was a stab. There was no flow in his kick then whatsoever. It deserved a goal after what he did.
Kicking coach on your resume there, Tim?
No.
Should be.
Talking about strong hands, Oxley under pressure. Terrific in the sunshine on the outer side. A beautiful autumn day in Melbourne, celebrating 50 years since the St Kilda Football Club won their first premiership against this Collingwood outfit. The Saints' home game. Howe, quiet in his Collingwood opener. Bouncing ball for Dempster, waited a long time. Weller.
Well, that's 50.
Let it go. It's a high tackle. Back here. St Kilda free kick. Let it go. He's bending down to pick up the footy. Play on.
He was lucky then. After the whistle, he carried through with the tackle in for Solon.
Well, the Montagna kick over the top. Just sits high, but Hickey did it perfectly in the end to Geary. Now to Fisher. Saints have got the numbers. There's 3 and just 1 pie, and that's Brown. Bruce, he's got a couple over the top. Goes to Minchington. Threads through a couple of pies into the pocket. Well, a long wait for Billings, and the kick was just a bit hot. The youngster off the ground. Now the pies should mop up here. Oxley, Goldsack. Well done, Collingwood. Leading to the ball is Cloak. Savage, hot on his heels, kick perfect to Cloak.
Good play then from Cloak. He read the play way ahead, made sure that he was going to be that outlet player.
At the back, Moore, front spot, Hickey. Moore got hands on the footy, so too Hickey. Neither could clunk it. Ball fell to ground. De Goey ensures it goes nowhere. Whenever Moore is around the ball, you think he's a chance with that leap he has. Dunstan. Treloar around the neck. Well, it couldn't have been any more obvious. Umpire staring on Sam Hay, and Treloar just got his arm over the top. Perfect to Billings. Now Billings has got man deep in Nunes, or a couple running short. Nunes is chosen now at the back. Reid had the height. Loney had it, lost it, gathered it again. Maynard, desperate stuff. Here's a chance for Sinclair. Comes crashing through. Tackle is brilliant. And again, this forward pressure from St Kilda, relentless.
Make this way. Get that meter. Get that meter. Make this way.
Umpire McInerney barks the instructions. Bruce, Hickey, Grundy, quick kick, goes nowhere.
Follow the ball. Dragged it in. Straight back. Drag the ball in.
Explanation clear enough. You drag the ball back in, so Greenwood now. Well, that's a good sight. Williams back on the ground.
Still pretty proppy out there, Williams. He doesn't look comfortable. Rob Harvey mentioned that quarter time Collingwood's inability to slow up St Kilda's ball movement with uncontested marks. Saints have only had the 12 this quarter, so it's been a massive win for Collingwood.
Absolutely, surely is. Montagna flicks the ball around the corner. Minchington, hurried kick, heard the umpire. Treloar, brilliant, had the ball and was tackled and got rid of it and found Maynard, who finds Chris. Aish, Maynard. Well, long ball out the back. Cloak, will it stay in? Well, not quite. I think Cloak got hands onto it before it went over, but couldn't take it cleanly.
They still get great value, don't they, the Saints, from their veterans. You see Paddy McCartan there just taking a breather from Riewoldt, who we've already mentioned. Montagna's up to 17 as well, so he's been an extremely busy player in the midfield.
Well, Hickey, I thought, had his Arm over the shoulder of Grundy. Umpire didn't see it. Sinclair. There's nothing but green around him when he went to the football. Sat in the air a while.
Got a retreat here.
Fed it back to Webster. Nothing doing. 2-on-1. Bruce. He's 15 or 20 metres behind Reed. He gets sheltered. Goldsack provided the shelter and ends up with a footy. Bruce left him. Went to Reed. Reed. Nothing really doing. Nothing coming at him. Not initially anyway. Well, strong hands again. This time it's Ockley. 20 metres further up the ground from where he took the last strong mark.
Amazingly, this quarter is set to be only the second Collingwood won for the year. They've kicked 5-1 and St Kilda's 3-2. Really interesting stat.
Well, they've won it by 11 points. Saints, though, as they were in 66, ahead by a point.
Goldsack's been a good inclusion back at half back there, trying to add a little bit of experience and stability. First game back since July last year, obviously with that niggling knee injury. So certainly one that they're going to look to add that experience to their what is a young back line.
Well, we know it's the match that celebrates the 1966 grand final. Half-time in that match, it was Collingwood by a point. Right now, Saints by a point. Bruce, tackle is good. Got rid of the football, though. Oxley mops up. Reed. Bouncing ball for Grundy. Got to be quick. Chance here for the Saints. 23 seconds remaining. Still a ball to be won. Weller got a runner. Montagna over the top. Little wait for Stephen. Armitage. Well, Jack Sinclair won't know how much time's left. Neither will Montagna. It doesn't mind. He goes for home. 1966 half-time score. Collingwood 5-7, St Kilda 5-6. 1 point the difference in favour of Collingwood. Here it is the Saints by 2 points. 9-6 to 9-4 in a thoroughly entertaining first half of football. Pretty healthy crowd on a Saturday afternoon at the MCG. The Saints looking for the first win of the season. Collingwood looking for back-to-back wins. Collingwood.
Yes, and I think the 31 1966 players that are at the ground at the moment would be pretty proud of what they are seeing being represented by the red, white and black. Saints led by a couple of goals at quarter time, but the Collingwood side has pegged them back. A winning quarter for the Pies, as you heard the boys mention. Just their second winning quarter so far for the season. We'll take a break, then come back with all the highlights from what has been a most entertaining game.
It's half-time between the Saints and the Magpies on Jeep Super Saturday.
Ball, he's caught. A chance for Green, off the goal! If I could turn back time.
Probably the most famous point in AFL/VFL history, and they're two of the stars from 1966. Cowboy Neal played an excellent game, but at 5-6. Barry Breen, not only did he kick that behind, but he was one of the Saints' best players on the day. We've got a good contest here, and sure, summing it up, if we could turn back time, let's see if the Saints can do that in the second half. But let's check the score combo, because it is a very exciting game at the moment. The Saints led by 12 points at quarter time, but they've been pegged back. That was a winning quarter as far as Collingwood was concerned. It's the Saints now by just 2 points, 9-6-60. Have a look at some of the possession winners. Montagna, 19. Ross and Newnes, 17 each. Oxley, 15, got an early goal. Adams has been good. And Treloar also, in his new colours, is doing a good job. So let's have a look at some of the highlights of the first half. Tom Langdon, it was, who snapped the opening goal. And the Pies away to an absolute fly. 20 seconds gone. So what could the Saints do to stop the tide? Paddy McCartan got it over to Jack Stephen. He went into the open goal. Then Sinclair got an opportunity for McCartan again. Big man doesn't let him down. Saints up by 3 points. Penalty. Well, did he duck then?
He might have dropped it.
He got the benefit of the doubt. He got the free kick and he got the goal. So the Saints at quarter time up by 12 points. Into the second quarter, Billings it was who got the Saints' third goal in a row, and that extended St Kilda's lead at that stage to 19 points. Ball spilling out of the scrum. Jack Crisp, Will-o'-the-wisp, finished off nicely. Rewald here We're going to be interested to see if this has caused a problem. He went down for a concussion test into the rooms, but he gets the goal there and steadies for the Saints. But there you can see him going down into the rooms, and hopefully in the third quarter we can have a full report on the current medical situation of Nick Riewoldt, because he's having a fantastic day once again for the Saints. Don't miss the second half of this game on Super Saturday. Collingwood and St Kilda, and the Saints' 50th anniversary of their 1966 and only success. And they've had a very good first half. They started well with a 6-goal blast in the first quarter, restricted Collingwood to 4 goals, but the Pies hit back in the second. They booted 5 and kept the Saints to just 3. So at the long break, it's a 2-point ball game. Scott Pendlebury getting the thumbs up and giving the thumbs up. So we're set to go in the second half with St Kilda leading by 2 points.
The MCG this year, hosting the Pies. Second half underway. Dunstan lies underneath Grundy.
Captain, thank you.
Just quickly, guys, Saints have only got 2 on the bench. Neither McCartan nor Riewoldt are out here. We've been told Riewoldt's right to go, but he's still down the rooms, obviously. McCartan, though, is diabetic. His sugar levels actually dropped during that second quarter. Got dizzy out there, so they're dealing with that underground at the moment as well, the Saints.
Well, I think he was diagnosed with diabetes at 9 years of age, so he's been trying to get it right for...
It took a while to get it right last year, though, too, Hammer. There was a little bit of toing and froing before they got the right balance.
Let's hope they can get it right, and let's hope Nick Riewoldt can play a big role in this second half if you're a Saints fan. In fact, just a footy fan. Langdon, Oxley, Maynard. Langdon again, tackled. Maynard tries to crash through a few Saints, does a pretty good job of it. Now Sinclair, well done. Here's a chance. Loney darts and wheeze, ends up with Gilbert. After a couple of Pies that touch the footy, Weller tries to work it quickly over the top, but the Pies have got the numbers, the speed and the know-how for now. Beautiful kick in the end. Here's the debutant, Matthew Goodyear. Kick over the top. Looks okay for Fasolo. Well done to the youngster. Fasolo, who had a blistering Friday night last week, had a quiet opening half, oblique with a goal next to his name to start Saturday afternoon football. Aish just draws Montagna. Langdon work Dempster around over the top, bouncing sort of a ball at half forward for Grundy, gets rid of Ross. Vision over the top was good, execution not as he would have liked. I think he was searching for the other man and found Maynard, but Oxley watched it all unfold. Terrific kick to Crisp, who kicked one early going in that second term. This for his second.
Get sort of to keep an eye on the interchange bench for the Saints too, because if McCartan and Riewoldt are under some sort of injury cloud for the second half, we know interchanges are down to 90. That's going to have an enormous impact on St Kilda's second half.
Well, Crisp by name, not by nature. Didn't hit it well at all. Margin now back to a point.
And that the fast, high-pressure style of game that St Kilda played in that first half, it's tiring. It's hard to maintain. We saw a couple of laps of concentration there as well.
And right now, down by 2. I think we're going to hear from Dr. Rowan White in just a moment on what is happening from an injury perspective. Gilbert, short ball on, threads the needle. Billings heard it, just cruised away. Pies were flat-footed. Roberton. And there's the run in Fisher. Montagna's on the overlap. Fisher just held up really cleverly by Fasolo. He wanted to go over the top, and Fasolo did enough.
Why was that play on then? I thought Fisher was just going to go back behind his mark then.
He went to the centre.
Ross thought about going inside, went wide to Stephen. Terrific stuff from Nunes. Now to Gilbert on his right side, which is his left. Armitage had to go back with a flight, lost his way a little. Oxley did well. Weller almost intercepted, had it, lost it. Langdon taken to ground. Saints will have a look at a goal.
I love what St Kilda did then when their ball movement from the centre wing down into the forward line, where Collingwood had set up their players defensively, but they handballed their way through until they got themselves into inside 50, that attacking position. That's
another metre, I think, Scott. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Just a reckless bit of play there by Brown against Maverick Weller.
15 seconds.
It's tough to continue to play this way for the Saints. Keep their confidence. They're a young side. They need to keep taking it on. But if Collingwood can slow them down and sap the confidence out of them a little bit, it makes it really difficult for that young side to continue.
So Mav Weller kicked 2 goals against Port Adelaide in the opening round. Oh, that's terrific. He's got 2 this afternoon as well. 4 for the year. And the Saints, well, back out to 7 points. Undermanned for the moment as we join Dr. Rowan White, courtesy of Triple M. Doc, what's the update on the skipper of the Saints?
Yeah, thanks, Hamish. Nick Revolt, of course, down in the rooms, as you know, getting the concussion test. He came off after that heavy knock-up forward after taking the kick, but the docs looked at the vision. They felt it was worrisome enough for him to go down, have the concussion test. Now, we know that concussion test can take 15 minutes, so it's going to be very close to, in the next minute or two, whether he'll come up on the bench. And, of course, Paddy McCartan had a similar incident, again going for mark, heavy knock. Kick the goal, and again the docs brought him off. They actually did a blood glucose test on him on the bench, as well as assessing the knock that he had on the video. Again, he is in that 15-minute concussion assessment time.
The doc just on Marley Williams.
Yeah, he got a knock. It was in a marking incident late in the first quarter, and he hurt the forefoot on the left, the front of his left foot. We think it could be a turf toe, and he's still in trouble. He's down the rooms as we speak, getting more treatment.
Appreciate that, Doc. Dr. Rowan White, courtesy of Triple M. Terrific to have the update on all 3 players. Brilliant kick. Webster didn't have to break stride. Now Josh Bruce just contemplates, puts it to the run of Gilbert. Well done, Nathan Brown. Used his body, used his smarts, got himself in perfect position.
And our St Kilda players upfield, they're looking at a very different forward line now too. Woosha, no Revolt there, no McCartan there. They're trying to play Gilbert as one of the talls. Obviously Bruce is still there. But it's just different. When you got the ball in the midfield, you look up and there's none of those taller players there. You just got to lower your eyes and be a little bit more creative in the way that you kick the ball, or you pick out the opponents, or you pick out your teammates downfield.
So the Saints searching for their first win of the year, and their first win since round 17 last year against the Demons. A draw in round 21 against the Cats, but it's been a while since the Saints enjoyed a victory. Right now they lead by 7 points, but they are at the moment hamstrung. No Paddy McCartan, no Nick Revolt. Terrific kick down the line to Weller, who's been really industrious all around the ground this afternoon. Gilbert flew, kept his feet, might have a second crack. Dunstan, he was really slick. Bruce's handball, brilliant. Gilbert at full stretch. That's brilliant stuff from the Saints. Superb.
Great call, Hammer. There was superb. And they moved the ball from one side of the ground again. A hallmark of the way they've played today is their preparedness to actually use the width of the MCG and find a teammate. And again, they've moved the ball from one end of the ground to the other. And I think they're going to continue, or have to continue to do that too, if McCartan or Revolt don't come back. He's spent, isn't he, Gilbert?
Great hands there from Bruce to Gilbert. The build-up, as you said, Tim, fantastic. They're stretching a lot like what they did in the first quarter, getting the uncontested marks out wide, stretching the ground, getting the overlap run makes for the easy forward entries.
Call that back, guys. Thank you.
Well done, that man, Sam Gilbert. The 5th time in his career he's put a couple of goals together on the score sheet alongside of his name. Crisp had a crack at 2 goals earlier. Really didn't hit the ball well at all. Bouncing ball, ricochets wide. Montagna to Stephen. The old and the relatively new. Well, Reid had it a long time. Armitage came late.
Revolt's got the tracky dacks on down here, boys, just to the back of the bench as we can see. Hopefully that's not the last we'll see of him today.
Well, that looks like he's cooked for the day, doesn't it?
Grundy amongst 3 Saints. Geary quickly back to the ball. Help came. It was Adams helping Brodie Grundy out.
We don't want to be too dramatic about that, but it was a fairly innocuous bump that he actually copped from Greenwood. It wasn't a forceful knock at all. It didn't look from here, so we know that he's had concussive episodes before.
We were calling a game in Adelaide last year where he got hit. I think it was Brodie Smith that he collided with. Really unattractive stuff. So really light tap this afternoon. St Kilda hoodie is on. Nick Revolt watches on. Billings corralled by Pendlebury, but clever enough Billings to find Jack Sinclair. This one to Hickey. Again, nice mature ball movement from the Saints. Hickey runs inside 50, doesn't go and blaze away, puts it to a dangerous spot and into the hands of a dangerous forward.
They're playing inspired football.
Yeah, just really, really controlled. Everything they're doing, whether by hand or by foot, kicking long, kicking short, control. Would have blazed away then, just sat it in the goal square. And this guy, he's been fantastic today, leading right up the ground, getting his hands on the ball, and won't miss it from here, but even from outside 50, one of the best kicks at goal is Bruce.
Nick Riewoldt has 2, Mav Weller has 2, Josh Bruce has 2, and the Saints back out to a game-high 19-point lead.
Well, Tom Hickey, who actually sent the ball in there, that was really good play from him to find that space in the forward line to provide that target. And then to reel around so quickly to kick the ball back to the top of the square before Collingwood could set their defences. At the moment, though, Tom Hickey is actually ranked the number 2, I know it's only a small sample, but the number 2 ruckman in the competition. Nat Nui's ranked number 1 at the moment. So that gives you an indication of how well he's played in the early part of this year.
Strong mark, goes back, kicks another one there, Bruce, for the Saints. Hickey, fantastic, back in the middle now, really making the contest, making sure whether it's Cloak or Grundy, every time he's near the ball.
With McCartan and Riewoldt out for the afternoon. McCartan, not sure. Gilbert has worked his way inside 50, and let's see what he can do for the afternoon. Has a couple already.
Hey, Sully, a question for you. With St Kilda down a couple of soldiers at the moment, is that going to mean that they'll have to adjust their play at some stage this quarter?
They'll need to slow it down at some stage, Tim. We've seen how ballistic they've been. They can't continue to do that for another quarter and a half. They just need to take some time off the clock at some stage and chip it around a little bit. With only 2 on the bench, it does make things difficult.
Well, Jack Nunes gave up the footy. Langdon intercepted. It was meant for Jack Loney, but the tackle was brilliant, and suddenly the Saints get hold of the football again. This is wonderful stuff from St Kilda, firing it long. Armitage had it knocked away by Pendlebury. Chance here, bustling his way through. Armitage wanted in the back. Oxley lurks about the place now. Goldsack to Treloar. Well, the kick was ideal. If he was looking for Greenwood, it was pinpoint.
If it's going to affect the Saints, it'll be the latter part of this third term, so we'll just keep an eye on their scoring.
Montagna, the 211s, did battle. Montagna beat Blair. Now Nunes, thumping ball forward. Gilbert, it's a bouncing ball to deal with now, and Langdon. Young but wise. Happy to see it over.
There's some real pressure being applied to this Collingwood defence. I think they were quite happy for the ball to go over the boundary line and just get a bit of a breather too. It's a sorry sight, isn't it? Both McCartan and Riewoldt look like their days are done.
So Hoodie's on, and the Saints, oblique leaders, have some concerns. The young gun and the old warrior done for the afternoon. Baseball caps and hoodies, telltale sign that, particularly now the boots off as well. Absolutely no risk being taken with either. So a big assignment now for the Saints. It was big enough.
Great tackle.
Just over 3 goals the lead. How do the Saints play the last 40 minutes of football? Hot stuff now. Chance for Loney, Oxley, Clever, Blair, Montagna, lunging tackle, boot to ball. On the outskirts, Moore back inside, Greenwood. Nunes, the desperate stuff, the slap. Paizo will end up with it. Treloar over the top, Minchington taken high, might play on. Darts back inside. Low ball, well, that symbolises everything St Kilda's been doing all afternoon. Nunes and Minchington in the middle of the ground.
The pressure, when you talk about they're going to get tired, yeah, they may, because if they're going to keep attacking the ball, attacking the player with that ferocity, they will get tired. But that was just fantastic. 11 inside 50s just to 1 this quarter for the Saints. So they're getting the pressure on the Collingwood defenders, and that's what they need to do. That's how they're going to tire them out. Don't worry about them tiring themselves. They'll tire them out, constantly getting in. Forward pressure, forward 50 pressure is what will get the Pies.
Yeah.
Weller, he's been inspirational all afternoon. The Saints have got 4 in a row and Mav's got 3. Let's go back down to Dr. Rowan White, courtesy of Triple M. Hoodies and hats are on, Doc.
Hamish, bad news for St Kilda with both Nick Revolt and Paddy McCartan out with concussion. They were assessed downstairs. Obviously did not pass the test. Interestingly, Paddy McCartan, being a diabetic, had his blood sugar tested on the sideline. Now, we do know that that can be affected from this sort of trauma, so probably multifactorial for Paddy. And also news for Collingwood, Marley Williams down in the rooms again, getting that foot checked out once more. He's been down several times. So importantly, the Saints down to 2 on the bench, the Pies down to 3.
They could be nasty, those toe injuries too. Aaron Sandler's really struggled with one.
Yeah, really did. Thanks, Doc. Great update. And, well, the Pies a man down. The Saints a couple watching on. And influential key forwards. Gilbert's been thrown inside 50, but they continue to find a way. Mav Weller, an unlikely 3-goal source already this afternoon. And Sam Gilbert a couple. So 5 of the Saints 13 through Weller and Gilbert. Have a look at those inside 50s. 9 of the last 10. Hickey. He's been really good so far this year. Slightly quieter last week, but in round 1 against Port Adelaide.
Oh.
Brilliant. Look at the tackle this time from Minchington. And the Saints have an opportunity to make it 5 in a row.
Haven't they got an appetite for it? Really anytime they lose the ball, surely they just win it back as quickly as they can.
Yeah, there's a real sniff of expectation down here now. You see their energy levels have all lifted out there, the Saints. They're unaware of almost they've only got 2 on the bench. Importantly, though, the two they've lost their key position taller players. They've still got their runners out there.
Well, to the top of the square, not quite where he wanted it to be. And for the moment, some relief.
You've got to wonder about Pendlebury's fitness too. He hasn't touched the ball in this third term. You would think for Collingwood to win this game, he's going to have to play some sort of a role from here on in.
Chance for Montagna. Close run thing, did well. Hickey, he's become pretty mobile. Geary, again hemmed in. Montagna, Nunes likewise. Well, almost for Armitage, had it, lost it. Free kick going Armitage's way regardless.
Come on, hold it, I'll be arm early.
Hammer, they're just pumping it in there too often.
And that's what's going to happen. You're going to get those free kicks. You're going to get those free kicks like we see here for Armitage. If you keep putting pressure on the Collingwood defence, get it in quick. We saw the number of inside 50s so far this quarter for the Saints. Those things are going to go your way. You're going to get those little ticky-touch free kicks. You're going to get the mark that's going to drop short. You keep getting in there, you're going to give your forwards the opportunities.
To make it 5 in a row for St Kilda after the Pies kicked 5 of the previous 7. Well done, David Armitage. Game high, 31-point lead. Hard to predict this coming if you said that Paddy McCartan and Nick Revolt would both be off for the first 17 minutes of this term, and somehow the Saints would manufacture 5 goals in a row. Gilbert, Weller, Bruce Weller, and now Armitage. And the lead is healthy.
There's 9 individual goal kickers for the Saints and 8 for Collingwood. Really even spread on both sides.
Well, they just can't move the ball forward to the centre at the moment. The Pies 12-1 inside 50s this third term. They're being absolutely blitzed at the moment.
Gilbert, Weller, Bruce Weller and Armitage.
Treloar really has to get going. Pendlebury's got to get involved. Aish has only had 8 disposals. Blair's only had 6.
We'll have a look at that. Suddenly Seb Ross becomes a ruckman. Stephen, clever slap wide to Savage. Again, this thumping right leg of his. Gilbert and Bruce. Gilbert might get a second crack, almost. Well, big tackle on Sinclair, and the appetite to grab a Collingwood jumper is huge.
It's not just from their smaller players. Tom Hickey, the 5 tackles so far, follows up very much like Nat Newey. Gets in there, makes the contest and follows up with strong tackles.
He's a beauty, Hickey.
Grundy, this time, has the height against Bruce. Bruce ended up with a football. Tackle, Treloar, Adams. Greenwood had to wait, did well, lost sight of the football, fell into his arms, cleverly positioned. Moore just knocks the ball into space. Well, Roberton, little handball intercepted. Here go the Pies. Greenwood, Blair, back to Greenwood. Well, deep ball is on, not a lot doing. Chance for Aish if they can work it over the top. Blair sees him now, thumps the ball long. Well, wanted to thump it long. Back to Greenwood. Again, this St Kilda desperation. Nothing doing at half forward. All Seb Ross. And just while we've got a breather, Paddy McCartan is off the ground. We've been talking about his diabetes. A message from St Kilda. He is a diabetic, but it is not diabetes related. We'll see what we can glean throughout the afternoon. Montagna, kick spoilt by Crisp. Langdon tackled. Again, this St Kilda outfit just finds the Collingwood player with the ball and brings them to ground.
They're actually playing like men possessed at the moment, the Saints. This is going to be, if they get to the line with their noses in front, this is going to be a famous victory for St Kilda when you consider their two players that went down and haven't come back.
And the living men that were a part of that 66 famous victory are watching on in the stands. Here's a chance. Greenwood, Cloak, advantage called. Now play on. Cloak came off his line. Long ball to full forward. Well, more.
Kilda.
I think with Dempster. Yeah.
You've got to love Dempster in your side. Last week on Stringer, kept him extremely quiet. Today, so far, well, just the 5 touches. One of those players, week in, week out, just gives you everything that he's got.
There. Good on. Me.
Well, if you've just joined us, how did we get here? Saints by 2 goals at quarter time. Saints by 2 points at the long break. And Collingwood kicked 5 of the previous 7 to half time. No Nick Revolt, no Paddy McCartan. 5 goals to zip in favour of the Saints in this third term. A game-high lead enjoyed by the Saints right now. Marley Williams not on the ground for Collingwood. He's got some injuries around the foot. We think a turf toe. Gilbert has a couple for the afternoon. A couple of Saints screaming for it long. Short man is on. And Jack Loney knows how to kick a goal.
How easily did they pick them apart from one end of the ground to the other? Nathan Buckley must be seething in the coach's box right now.
His captain can't get his hands on the ball.
15 seconds!
He hasn't had a touch this quarter. Of the time Buckley's been coached, Pendlebury's only been held to 20 touches or less for 3 games only. He's on track for that at the moment.
Loney, he started at left and never looked likely. Has now 1-2 for the afternoon.
Sully might just get you to keep your eye on the bench with Robertson as well, because he did come off, and another tall player for the Saints that's gone straight down the race.
Yeah, we just saw that. There's some sort of impact down there in defensive 50. And they went straight down the race as well.
More pressure from the young Saints. This time Loney, and an old pie kicks it out of bounds on the full.
It's real, then it's just inferred, isn't it?
It's pretty exciting, and the sort of thing that just carries on. You can build that enthusiasm through the hard tackling stuff. Everyone loves the high marks and the big goals, but you can see a side that's really driven and enthused by the hard tackles and chasing. It's great to see.
They stretch the field again.
Well, Gilbert has it delivered wonderfully by Montagna. Bruce, Brown, good contest. Sinclair, Maynard. The Pies have got the numbers perhaps for the moment. Well, free kick coming back.
Collingwood, Adams. Relay, Adams.
It's like an old squeeze box, Hammer. They're just opening out and then they're closing it down when they defend.
Hold there, hold.
So Pendlebury, for the first time, grabs the footy in this third term.
I tell you, the thing going in Collingwood's favour, though, is that St Kilda have had poor last quarters, the first 2 games of the AFL season.
Pendlebury gets the footy again. Big fly from Moore out the back. Few Saints around the place at the fall of the ball, just pushed forward by Goodyear, the debutant. Cloak, Fisher, hands on the ball first. Howe, well done, out the back, Crisp. Long ball, needs a Grundy mark. And he likes this part of the ground, Brodie Grundy. This to try and just narrow the gap a little and to bring it back to 26 points. They haven't kicked a goal in this term.
This is that tough part of the quarter for the Saints now to keep their energy levels up. They've spent so much the first half of the quarter without the reward possibly they should have got.
Well, across the face, I think just a minor score.
You're right, Sully, but right now, you're just not seeing that burst of energy from Collingwood either.
No, you're not. I'd love to see the Saints be able to hold onto the ball and just compose play a little bit, but I don't think they've got the experience yet to change gears and try and sap some energy out of the game. They need to reserve that for the last quarter.
Well, the Saints right now lead by 31. The bad news is Dylan Robertson is now in the rooms. So McCartan and Revolt out for the afternoon. Robertson, there's a question mark over.
Yours now.
Armitage, brilliant. Howlett settle for Stephen. Terrific. Has a look, backs himself. Another goal. Yes, indeed. Coast to coast.
It was quick, and the Saints are saying, we don't want to slow it down. We just want to see how quick we can score. The build-up there from defensive 50, finding the open space, and Stephen again finishing so beautifully. Such a leader of this club in his own way. He gets in, he gets the hard ball, but he's got that explosive speed and fantastic finish. So all the makings for a future captain of St Kilda Footy Club.
One in.
Yeah, it's great having those tall defenders out there, but when you're matched up against someone like Jackie Stephen, good luck catching him.
So the 26-year-old gets his second of the afternoon. And there's been no greater margin this afternoon. De Goey went searching, and again the St Kilda Football Club seemingly have more numbers around the ball. Big tackle on Ross. Reid was the tackler. Ball spills. Minchington hungry for the football. Jack Sinclair tries to burst through the Taylor Adams tackle. Minchington involved again. Aish, crisp. The Pies now through Reid over the top to Goey. Nunes. Now Savage and Blair. Well, how will the umpire see this? Umpire Mackinnon saw it, how a lot of the crowd saw it. Under 3 minutes. Pies haven't been able to conjure a goal yet in this third term.
Oh, Bucks just wants to see effort right now.
Good ball.
It'll fall about 35 from home. A lot of the Saints flew. Bruce down in defence for the moment. The skipper Pendlebury searching with the handball. Didn't connect as he would have liked. Stephen kicked the last for the Saints. Seb Ross deep in defence to the wing. Well done. Well, out the back, Oxley, surely.
He put the ball down. Thank you.
Taking some big grabs on the outer side this afternoon, Oxley. Caught behind them, but athletic enough to drag it in. And now Jeremy Howe can go back and try and kick his first goal in a Collingwood jumper.
Well, I watched him really closely pre-game when he was having shots for goal, and 4 in a row he dragged to the left-hand side. So let's just see whether or not
15 seconds.
he's learned anything from his pre-game routine and set shots for goal.
Goal-kicking coach should be on your resume, Tim. You've nailed it so far.
80 goals as a Demon in 100 games. 1 goal as a Pie in his opening game. Okay, back to 31. 2 minutes before three-quarter time. The Pies down a man, and right now we're unsure whether Dylan Robertson is able to take any further part. We know that Nick Revolt and Paddy McCartan will not play any further role. Man management suddenly a huge issue.
Aren't they stretched now at both ends of the field? And at the moment they've got Bruce off the ground as well, so they've got 4 tools off the ground, so they're very small out there. They're going to have to run and gun the Saints. They've done that all afternoon, and they've done that exceedingly well.
So 3 men on the bench, 2 of them in hoodies. Josh Bruce having a breather, and Dylan Robertson in the rooms with the doctors.
On the ball, Collingwood.
Collingwood, can they get another late in this third term? 31 points to the margin now. Driving ball. Well, Dempster had it, lost it. Second and third effort, good. Nunes, hurried kick, chance now. Little give, crisp, Greenwood. Went in and under. Goodyear, the debutant, to the top of the square. How? Well, did he play for it? Umpire said yes. I'm not giving you the free kick. How kicked the last to make a 37-point margin 31.
You always want your big, great players out on the ground, but what it also shows is a level of unpredictability. Collingwood don't know where the Saints are going to go at the moment. They don't know who they're going to kick it to. They don't know who their target's going to be, and that is why their smaller, younger players have been able to get on the end of a lot of free footy, because Collingwood just don't know where they're going to be going with all their stars on the bench.
So the game within the game now, Tim and Andrew Welsh, is all about this man management over the next 30 minutes of football. The Saints, perhaps with 3 out of the game. Marley Williams limping for the Pies. The problem with the Saints is they're all big men. It's not as if we can shuffle too many soldiers around that are built the same.
And that's what they want to avoid doing, kicking long down the line when they do have such big men off the ground.
Robertson's got his knee heavily bandaged down here, boys. He's very proppy trying to run up and down the boundary line.
Okay, so Langdon takes on Montagna and Armitage to half forward. Front spot again, Howe starting to work his way into the game. To the dangerous for Solo. Through a couple of Saints' hands and then to Geary. Gilbert tackled immediately. Maynard read it well, didn't go too early. As soon as Gilbert got a hold of the football, tackled him, dislodged it. Won the second and the third battle too. Now a ball to 25 metres from home. Webster tackled. One was Goodyear. Cloak involved as well. And the Saints weather the late Collingwood storm. What a last quarter we've got coming up. Robertson, you can see, heavily strapped below the knee and on the knee. Collingwood, the last change, lead by the Saints, I should say, lead by 31.
I won't tell your mother out of this world. You don't make this right, you wonder. Don't you wanna be
Home game for St Kilda hosting the Collingwood Football Club, and it's hard not to be taken with what the Saints have produced this afternoon. Can they keep producing it, Brad Sewell, with so many wounded Warriors?
Yeah, they certainly are at the moment. I'm joined here with Spy Steele, a sideball, mate. How do you go watching at the moment? Of course, suspended from round one. Are you enjoying watching this?
I'm not at the minute, and I didn't for most of last week either. Yeah, it's frustrating to watch, but there's nothing I can do about it, really.
And how have you seen the game unfold out there from a Collingwood perspective?
We're getting beaten out of the centre clearance. We can't get a clearance at the minute, and then we're just being untidy by foot. So if we can fix that up, there's still 30 minutes to go. So we're still in with a big shot.
And what would you imagine Bucks is saying out there to the group at the moment?
Pretty much that. Just contested footy, getting it inside, and just giving our forwards a chance, getting it in, and hopefully they can do the job.
Has he got the ability to give a good bake, Bucks, or is he a bit more calm and reserved at the moment?
He has the ability. He probably needs to do a little bit more, maybe. Who knows? But no, he's good.
Yeah, all right, mate. Well, thanks very much, and all the best for next week.
Cheers.
Ideally, they would love Steele's side bottom to be in that huddle right there right now. He returns next week. Dane Swan also watching on. Trav Varco, Jackson Ramsey injured his knee during the week. Marley Williams, who started the game, doesn't look like he'll finish it. But if he does, he'll be limping to the line. But his Scharenberg, his luck continues to be poor. So Collingwood have got a big mountain, but St Kilda right now have got so many problems. Revolt, McCartan and seemingly Robertson unable to play too much of a role, if at all, Robertson.
Well, they're three of their taller players, and I think for Collingwood to win this game, they've got to go with their setup, and that is to play the three talls inside their forward line. They've got to start winning more of the ball around the clearances, get some clean ball, and play on at every cost. They've been too static in the way they've played on. And really take it to St Kilda, who've been quite magnificent for 3/4 of footy.
So the last 30 minutes of football is underway. St Kilda with so many of thetheir premiership stars from 1966 watching on. What can the class of 2016 do this afternoon? 31-point lead, but undermanned. Montagna, the run continues from his ageing body. Stephen, brilliant running goal in that third term. Back to Montagna, to half forward. No Revolt, no McCartan. Seb Ross outsized. Well, a couple of Collingwood players confused with their communication. Goldsack and Howe. Treloar over the top, one at Oxley. Here's a chance. Nunes fed the ball. Loney, well, the look away to Maynard was meant for Armitage. And dangerous times right now for Collingwood. Last line, an inch here or an inch there, and Saints would have got the first.
Hammer Oxley has to be stronger there too. He ran off the line of the ball.
Well, big fly from Aish, did well. The next, from a Collingwood perspective, would give them a real sense of belief, knowing what they know about how the Saints wounded are faring. The next for St Kilda would be like an adrenaline shot. Webster, just held up by Cloak, didn't get flustered. Montagna, inside to Savage. Doesn't blaze, doesn't thump the footy, instead caresses it to Jack Loney.
Well, and what we just saw then, and Nathan Buckley obviously not happy with it either, they're just not prepared to run Collingwood. The forwards held back, waiting and giving that space between the two arcs. None of the midfielders or the defenders actually moved to provide a target. And the ball turns over again.
Jump to it, Brady.
And St Kilda can nail this game with an accurate kick.
Loney has 1 goal, 2 for the afternoon. Crosses the arc. Small little moments. Andrew Welsh made it up to significant moments.
I like what the Saints have done with their forward line. Obviously, they don't have the tall players out there. They've got Armitage and Weller, strong marks, but they've also got Bruce and Gilbert who kicked those 4 goals in the grand final a few years back up there to help out to try and provide some in-air presence.
There's more time.
Where's the inspiration going to come from for the Pies?
Go back to the kicker.
That's the big question. That's what Nathan Buckley's thinking about up there in the coaching box as well. I mean, you want to do it collectively, but who's actually going to provide the leadership out there?
Hold.
The drive. The captain getting involved.
So Langdon's got a runner in the form of De Goey into the sunshine. Reed out the back. Here's a chance. Geary read it pretty well. Reed an unlikely flyer at full forward. Now to Aish. Turnover. And Collingwood with a sniff. Well, Fasolo's in about the right spot, but Dempster, what a cool head. He's been flying for the Saints in about that position for a lot of years, and he's taken some important marks on the last line. They can somehow get the first of this final turn.
Where was the contest there, though?
No one flew. It was almost an uncontested grab from Dempster, which was hard to believe given the time, the scenario for Collingwood to get back and set up.
And one of the problems, there was 4 or 5 Collingwood guys flying for it and still couldn't make a contest. The 3 of those guys should have been leading up at the player, trying to give Aish a couple more options, but they just don't seem to have that energy at the moment, Collingwood.
Jeremy Howe. Well, again, the Saints players outnumbering the Pies. Savage on the end of the handball. He gives it off to Nunes. Kick. Well, had to be fine. And it wasn't. So Langdon now comes back inside. Jack Sinclair desperately tries to smother. Savage, where the sun meets the shadows, takes a tricky mark. Ball came out of the shadows into the sun, and he didn't lose his way. Here's a chance for Billings. Ball put in front of him by Dunstan. Back inside it comes. Weller. He's been superb this afternoon. Well, a chance for Bruce. It's all or bust. So many Pies floating. Now, the fall of the ball, Pendlebury. Back inside to Adams, to Treloar, to Pendlebury. To half forward, Cloak. Not often. He has so much space. On this occasion, he does. Pulls the kick. Reed has a heap to deal with for Solo. So clever in this scenario. Bouncing ball. Gee, they needed that. Back under 5 goals. And Fasolo gets his second.
That was great play then by Cloak. He just held on to the ball long enough, and then he placed the ball in a position where Collingwood were disadvantaged, but at least there was going to be a contest, and the ball came to ground. It drew the defenders from St Kilda to the contest, and Fasolo, who's so smart and quick at ground level, was able to kick that much-needed goal for the Pies and keep them alive in this final term.
Bucks is trying to swing some changes down here. We've got Reed's gone to full forward and Darcy Moore's in the back line here.
Played a lot of footy in the VFL at centre-half back, Sully, so it's not a position he's not familiar with.
Yeah, okay.
Long ball from Stephen. Chance for Bruce. Oh, terrific. Used his body superbly against an experienced defender.
Nathan, just here, please.
And this for a very quick reply.
He's an exciting player, isn't he? You see him here just holding out Brown. He's a strong boy, keeps front position, really smart. I like the way that he's been able to move up the ground, but be that key anchor deep for the Saints. If they do need to get it in long, they've got a strong option there in Bruce.
Half a metre.
That's the 18th mark inside 50 for Collingwood's 9.
So Loney hit the post a few minutes ago. Fasolo kicked the first of this term. Bruce, can you believe he's hit the post too?
Let off again. They've had 2 chances, haven't they, really to put this game out of Collingwood's control.
2 set shots in this final term. 2 posters to the Saints. A chance again to drive inside 50. Again it's Savage. Again it's a clever kick. Well, not 15 the call. Hardly done by the home crowd, thinks to Goey. Thought about going inside to Blair. Now to Reid or Fasolo. Fasolo front spot. Again Fasolo. Second effort terrific. Inside by hand. Adams slides out the handball. Greenwood. Can he finish? The pressure again was, well, just terrific from St Kilda. He lined things up, and just as he kicked, enough pressure to spill the ball out of bounds on the full. Saints a breather. Well, not 15 again, the call.
Hold.
They are starting to play with a little bit more excitement, Collingwood. The last 3 or 4 minutes, we're seeing dragging the ball through the midfield, trying to get a bit of speed on the game.
They should take confidence out of last week, their ability to finish strongly. I'm sure Bucks would have mentioned that in that last break.
Move it on.
So Webster's ball hangs a long time, but Armitage gets in the right spot in front of Oxley. Mature play here, Tim, from St Kilda, not rushing, just happy to pick off the options.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. And they've done it all afternoon too, how easily they've been able to pick Collingwood's defence apart.
It's interesting you make that comment. Rewalt was very animated down here on the bench before, standing up, telling the boys to slow it down, try and get that composed possession.
Remember Gabriella Anderson, the female marathon runner in LA, when she just stumbled to the line, took 5.5 minutes to do that last lap? You sense St Kilda are going to be getting tighter and tighter and tighter. How can Collingwood work their way back into this game against a young Saints outfit who lead but are undermanned? Dempster again, like he did moments ago, a crucial mark. Webster feeds it back to Fisher. Well, Billings, who after 28 games gave away his first free kick in the AFL earlier this afternoon, just sent it over to Ross, lost his feet. Here's a chance for Goodyear. Well done to Goey. Next part of this equation has proved difficult for Collingwood this afternoon.
See, the last line of St Kilda's defence, again, they held their line, and Collingwood have had to work back. And look at this, they've reset. And the ball goes. That is the 17th intercept defensive mark that St Kilda have taken today. The season average up until this game has been 9. That gives you an indication of the pressure that has been applied upfield, but also of some of the poor decision making and the lack of organisation at that part of the ground for Collingwood.
Hold there.
You made the comment earlier, Tim, about St Kilda making the ground big, and they've switched play really well. What that also does is opens up space in the middle of the ground. As the Collingwood midfielders tire, you should find St Kilda being able to pick off and run through the ground like they are here.
That's a good point. They've really had to chase a lot, haven't they?
Well, desperate ball here, and a really important one to be won. Stephen, well done. Billings, Dunstan, Dempster. Again, these 50-50 contests being won by St Kilda. Savage, again the man delivering the ball. Inside 50, Geary, Savage, he thumps a football, wonderful smother, well done Howe, now to Dunstan, over the top to Geary, now to Billings, onto his left boot, a long ball, have a listen, have a think, have a look, how important.
I believe it's a goal, I just want to make sure it wasn't touched on the line.
Score review, umpire's call is a goal. We checked to see it wasn't touched before the line.
Review underway.
It just can't be anything but a goal.
That's a sausage.
Cannot be anything but a goal.
Confirmed goal.
They've been magnificent, the Saints, haven't they? Their work rate today has been admirable from start to finish. They've really taken the game up to Collingwood, and they haven't really been seriously challenged since half-time. There was 2 points in this game at half-time. Anybody's game. They made their move in the third quarter, and at this early stage of the last quarter, they should be another couple of goals in front as well.
We We see a great finish here from Billings. What about the spread and the efficiency of the Saints at the moment? It's okay to spread, keep heat on the game. Here we see the interchange is there for the game so far. The Saints 10 less than the Pies, obviously with the numbers that they don't have available to come out in the ground. They're showing no signs of slowing down though, the Saints, with their accuracy but also their speed on the ball.
Which is really sore Pendlebury.
Sinclair, tumbling ball. Tough to deal with. Dempster again. An extraordinary defender he's been for St Kilda. Montagna, too hot for Dunstan. Here's a chance for Goodyear. The debutant ran into trouble in the form of Webster. Umpire lets the ball continue to bubble about. Treloar, Sinclair for Solo. That's St Kilda's afternoon. More men around the football than Collingwood.
Alex, back here, Alex.
That's the swarm. The Saints swarm. We saw it last year. No side was applying more pressure than they were in the early part of last season. They're back to their best now.
A tied kick to the outer side, and the Pies get another opportunity. Oxley, long kick inside 50. Grundy, last week's hero, this week on his back and under siege. This is a wonderful game of footy, and what you know, Tim, is there's people watching all around the world. We've just had a tweet into 7. People watching in Georgia, a Collingwood supporter alongside a Saints supporter. And they're as excited as the Saints fans here at the home game. And the Collingwood fans, well, they're anxious. 33 points the margin. A last gasp win against the Tigers last week. And slim pickings for the last half of last season.
Collingwood, they've just got to stop this. At 106 uncontested marks to 57. They're just not picking up the loose man. They need, if they're going to get forced here to kick along the Saints, they've got to be able to outnumber them.
Cloak continues to bulldoze his way through, opens things up for Treloar, tackled by Weller. 360 around he goes.
Into him. Trying to get rid of it.
Surely they've just been absolutely smashed with the spread today, haven't they, the Pies?
Yeah, they have. St Kilda's energy outside the contest has been fantastic.
Treloar, little give. Crisp. Interesting, Tim. For the second time this year, the Saints have kicked 100 plus. They only did it 3 times last year. And they've done it without McCartan and Revolt for the bulk of this second half. Stephen, a part of so much this afternoon. Seb Ross, I think the best I've seen him play. Gilbert goes searching. Well done, Jack Sinclair. Full stretch in front of Goldsack. Well, you see the disappointment from Sinclair. He thought he'd been able to control the ball before the line. So St Kilda came in the underdogs, but they have had a lot of the answers this afternoon. Hickey, Moore at fullback, Weller the tackler. He's got 3 goals this afternoon and been brilliant.
It's worth mentioning again too, Hammer, if you've just joined the telecast, that they've played the second half without McCartan and Revolt, the Saints.
And for this third term, Roberton has been watching on as well. So 3 men down in this last term and at least 2 men down for the second half. You see Paddy McCartan in the second row, the skipper having a drink in the front row. And the 1966 Premiership side of St Kilda's watches on in the stands today, celebrating 50 years from that famous victory. Oxley, hurried ball. Again, plenty of Saints around the fall of the ball. Webster couldn't control it. Matthew Goodyear, the teenager, playing for Collingwood for the first time. Fisher playing the role of sweeper to Montagna. Well, he's pulled the kick and he's found his man. Montagna, he had a bit of time to think it all through, but the execution still has to be right. And Joey Montagna nailed it.
Best on ground today, Joey Montagna.
Yeah,
he's 36 disposals, rarely wasted any of those. Been a running machine for them between the 2 arcs.
He's been fantastic too, Armitage, as we said at the start of the quarter, sitting up there as a deep forward because he does have strong hands, which gives Joey Montagna the confidence to get it into him in a pack situation.
10 score involvements for Montagna. That is a game high, but that is a disappointing minus score.
And he's rolling at 83% disposal efficiency too with his 36 touches. That's really high.
6 goals required. A tick under 8 minutes for Collingwood. Could they produce the miraculous 2 weeks in a row? Greenwood continues to give everything to half forward. Reid out the back, Fisher, front spot, Reid, clever little tap to himself. They must kick one here. Reid inside, De Goey runs, kicks and goals. Back under 5 goals. 28 points the margin. Still 7.5 minutes on the clock.
You want to back it from here, Whoosh?
There was a better build-up by the Pies. I don't know if I can back him in from here, but certainly there was a lot more of an aggressive, appealing build-up there by the Pies. Reid, smart, just knowing he had to go in the inside just to settle, give it to a good finisher in De Goey. So certainly a lot more enthusiasm there from the Pies. We need to see more of it, though.
There's Reid just providing the contest. A clever tap on, and then smart enough just to feed the ball back inside. And that's a good finish. They need another 6 of those.
Bruce now competes. Adams quickly onto the loose ball. Darting it back inside 50. Fasolo flies. Blair almost had it. Webster just darts out the handball. Armitage back to Webster. The Saints run continues. They must be tired now. Billings to Webster. Webster over the top. Well, it's a one-on-one contest. Minchington did well. Tried to knock it down to Bruce. Sinclair did enough. Brown, back it goes. Langdon, the skipper. To the outer side. 2 Saints and just Jack Crisp. Crisp desperately after the football again. Armitage, brilliant to Webster. The 4th man in on the contest. Billings now. A long high ball, Sinclair, Grundy, Moore, Maynard, but somehow Minchington. Can Stephen ice things? Stephen runs into the 3rd deck. Every time you think the Saints are going to find it hard, they find an answer.
It's TT the G now, isn't it? Tato the Goose now. Again, that high ball in their forward line drew 3 Collingwood tools. Look at that, 3 players up there, unable to kill the ball. Smart play by Mitchell. He's been impressive today too, Mitchington. And Jack Stephen, who continues his great form.
Bruce again against Grundy. Grundy again finds Adams. Hands and knees Armitage crashing through Stephen. He's been superb all afternoon. 3 straight now from his 15 kicks.
We saw the strong tackle there from Armitage. You think the Saints would be more than just 10 tackles up from Collingwood, but their tackles make more impact. They're turning the ball over in their tackles. They're not just grabbing a jumper. They're making them count like Armitage did there.
Nunes in the middle of the ground. Savage works his way in front. Had it, lost it. Couldn't control it. Gilbert, he's done a fine job. Works it back onto his left boot. Well, it's going to be a bouncing ball. How does it settle for Loney? Can he go off the ground? Not quite.
At the interchange, Mark 2, it's 81 Collingwood, 67 St Kilda. So, you're allowed 90, as we know, in modern-day football, but they're not going to reach that.
They've got no one to get on or off. But a wounded bench and just one man able to rotate every now and again. Long ball for Bruce, not able to keep it in his possession. Here's a chance for Ross. Savage works onto the right boot, goes by hand instead. Stephen, normally clever, that was fabulous. And Sinclair finishes. They won't be stopped.
See the contest coming back in here. Stephen getting involved again with Sinclair to finish. They just don't seem to be slowing down. We can talk about rotations, interchange, how many we should have, how many we shouldn't have. They're just showing it doesn't matter. If you have an appetite, you want to hit the contest, you can get many opportunities like they are.
They're an exciting outfit on what we've seen today. Super performance. Disappointing against the Bulldogs last week.
Well, playing poker, if you've got 4 jacks, you're doing well. Saints have got 5 this afternoon, and they've all been involved. Another one there, Jack Stephen de Montagna, who's been supplying this afternoon. Langdon. What have they got left, Collingwood? How much pride and spirit do they have? Blair for Solo, De Goey for Solo. Clever. Great take. Puts it to a dangerous spot. Can Adams go off the ground? He can. They're still alive. But it is a huge task ahead.
You know, Jared Blair, one of the things that was a hallmark of his performance was the fact that he was like a tackling machine. He was a pressure machine. Look at the stats. He's had 11 touches today, Jared Blair, but he hasn't laid a tackle. In all the play today over 4 quarters of football, he hasn't been able to apply that type of pressure to the opposition. And that's got to be a major concern for Nathan Buck. Not just him, but so many of his other mid-sized players too.
Still 5 minutes to play, but the Collingwood faithful are departing from the MCG. The Pies have won 8 of the last 9 against St Kilda. A drawn grand final amongst that. But the Saints today have arrived with an extraordinary spirit. They've been undermanned but not overwhelmed. Again, one of these young Saints collects the football. Dunstan misses his target. Sinclair continues to chase hard and does just enough.
You have to say, Adams has tried hard. He's at 26 disposals, 14 contested, 7 tackles. Just hasn't had enough people when the Saints are getting a run on just to get into work mode. Just get in. Don't worry about the touches. Just get in and compete. Hasn't had enough supporters there today for Taylor Adams.
Small chance here for the Pies. Blair.
Touch, play on.
Little kick. Again.
Yours now.
Saints at half back. Get their hands on the football and stop these Collingwood forward thrusts.
Yours.
It's been breathtaking to watch this St Kilda outfit go about their work this afternoon.
This is where they've carved them up. Just that composed play, made the ground big and just chipped away and really found plenty of space. Uncontested ball, uncontested marks. They've just destroyed Collingwood in these categories throughout the day.
And to do it, Brad Sewell without Nick Revolt for a half of football. McCartan without any impact on the game for a half of football, and Robertson for a full term.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, and they've spread the workload across the board. Goal kickers, they've had numerous to hit the scoreboard for St Kilda, so great signs going forward.
Greenwood, Treloar at half back. To the wing it goes. Bearing down was Fisher. Cloak couldn't control it for Solo. Picks up the loose crumb. Grundy amongst that chain. Now to Cloak. To half forward. Howe. I think I've said this before, but Dempster again kicks let him down. Goodyear, the youngster, on debut, couldn't quite get rid of the football. And again, the Saints have the answers. Weller hasn't stopped running and trying all afternoon. Armitage threads it over to Billings.
Goodyear looked tired then, didn't he?
Like it, Tim.
That's terrific.
Billings. Lost the footy. Maynard, Langdon, not clean, but time. Pendlebury, Adams, Pendlebury.
Hey.
Well, long way out, Goodyear. And having not seen him tired late in a 4th term, my best guess, well, he's looking like he's confident distance-wise. He's thumped that a long way, but it's going to fall short. Cloak, well, again, that man who we've spoken about in glowing terms, Sean Dempster.
That was a great servant. That was a great one. I would have used that in the first quarter.
Dempster, 32 years of age and still fighting on.
Oh, he's slowly getting up, Pendlebury. It's a courageous effort, isn't it? You know how painful any rib-type injury is.
Yeah, you can play, sore hands, feet, knees, shoulders, but ribs is one of the most painful things. You can see the tackle here. Tough tackle in the back. Of course, a free kick, but they are hard because when you run, you're tired, you bend over, you get hit, it hurts everything with your ribs. So, super effort to be able to get up and play and also try and drag his side up to compete against the Saints today.
There's one for the afternoon, a set shot at the city end of the ground. Well, he's got another skipper. Back to 29 points. On every measurement, it has been a really stoic effort from the Saints today.
Oh, they've been magnificent.
Magnificent.
Yeah, and look, the other thing is, though, out of this game, the story will be Collingwood's inability to be able to beat them today and what that means to their season. At the moment, they've got side bottom out of the side. They've got Swan out most of the year. Varco will come back next week. But they've been sadly beaten today, or roundly beaten today, by an energetic, exciting St Kilda team.
Well, this will be a sweet victory for St Kilda. Their last victory was round 17 last year against the Demons. In front of their famous premiership players, they've been so valiant, and this is what they've done all afternoon. Link up and combine as a team. We know the Pies are undermanned, but so too have St Kilda been this afternoon. No Swan, no side bottom, no Varco, no Elliott, no Scherenberg, no Ramsey. But for Nathan Buckley, I suggest not enough fight. Hurried ball from Oxley, a check side with no real structure about it, into the arms of Travis Cloak. Will kick with just on a minute remaining in this round 3 clash at the G.
And we've had to wait almost to the last minute of the game for them to take a mark, a contested type mark in their forward line, the Pies. That's a tiddler distance.
Yeah, he leaned right back.
He doesn't like that.
Leaned right back on there.
Sam.
It's funny what the brain can do to a superb player. I mean, we saw Ernie Els yesterday on the first at the Masters. Trav Cloak, he's a prodigious forward, but he has a little man that causes him trouble. Hickey, he's been brave all afternoon. And, well, we spoke to Brad Sewell about Shane Savage's efforts this afternoon. He's been huge in getting the football all afternoon. 27 touches, and so much of it has been on the run and setting the Saints up.
At 85% too, Hammer. Disposal efficiency.
Free kick, Collingwood. Pendlebury holding. No advantage after it. Can't pay advantage when it's paid forward to the footy from the non-controlling umpire.
There you go. You won't get a better explanation than that.
You talk about who was going to lift in this last term. Pendlebury, his 11th touch of the term. Grundy knocks it down, but Jack Sinclair, the beneficiary, to Nunes, Webster, Montagna. He's been busy from the get-go. Now to Billings. A long ball to the wing, and this home crowd of St Kilda fans will be delighted. The Saints, they have been wounded. They've been without a captain. They've been undermanned, but they are proud and they are victorious. Concerns for the Saints are the health of their skipper and Paddy McCartan. But however you weigh this one up, it's 4 fabulous points for the St Kilda Football Club. 50 years on from their premiership win, and great to have the premiership players watching on.
Yeah, it certainly was. We spoke pre-game about St Kilda. They don't have many opportunities to celebrate the history of the club. Today, I felt the players really stood up. They really showed what the club was about. So many of the young players, Severus, 31 touches, Stephen, 30. Let's go down to Brad Sewell.
Joey, a fantastic day for the club. Well done.
Yeah, it was. It's a big day, obviously, with the 50-year anniversary, and we've been disappointed with our first 2 rounds, so we needed to step it up today. And to have Paddy McCartan and Brewery not play the second half and fight out the way we did, it was a tremendous character by the boys.
I mean, you actually haven't been that bad this year. You ran a red-hot Bulldogs last week and solid against Port the week before. It was just a matter of time till things went your way.
Yeah, probably. I think we've got higher expectations of ourselves, though. We were disappointed with the Bulldogs' effort, and we think we're a bit better than that. And so today was a great show of confidence that we are heading in the right direction, and hopefully we can sustain that now for a bit longer.
And you managed to find so much space out here. You switched the ball really well, carved them up on the inside, and you found plenty of the ball yourself.
Yeah, well, we know Collingwood are playing that zoning type of defence stuff. We knew if we maintain possession and switch the ball and change the angles, we'd get plenty of good looks, and I thought the boys did that really well today.
Really important day for your club, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, tough.
Yes, outstanding achievement by St Kilda on a very emotional day and an important day, the 50-year celebration going back to their only premiership in 1966. 18-11 to 14-6. St Kilda home by 29 points in front of some 50,903 fans at the MCG. So a very healthy crowd indeed. We'll take a break when we come back. Get ready for the Battle of the Bridge. I think Alan Richardson can be justifiably proud of his charges. They were the walking wounded in the end, in fact, did it without 3 of their key big men, and they did it really well to the tune of 29 points in front of, as I said, 50,903 fans. But it has come at a cost. Nick Riewoldt in the second. Well, we'll check the scores first, of course, the combo. Yes, as I said, 29 points, 18-11, 119, 14, 690. Just have a look at the statistics. Joey Montagna, 40 possessions. Jack Nunes, 34. Seb Ross, 31. Langdon, 27. Adams, 27. And Pendlebury, 27 for the Pies. Now, the injury problems, though. This was Riewoldt. Seemed to just run into trouble. He left the ground, had medical attention at half-time, then came back out, didn't take any further part in the game. Roberton appeared to do something to his right knee. The extent of that injury will not be known until scans have been completed early in the week. And that wasn't the end of it then, because McCartan took a big pack mark. Remembering, of course, he is a diabetic, and there were thoughts that he copped one there and may have been slightly concussed. So if there's any doubt at all, particularly if you are a diabetic, you are immediately taken out of the program. The Battle of the Bridge is coming up very shortly. We'll be heading to the Sydney Cricket ground time, though, through Sportsbet to check the latest odds on that game with Nathan Brown.